so you can.
Hello everybody. How's it going? We're ready for some magic.
Hey Rob, what's going on?
It's going great. My name's Robert. I'm joined in the booth by Vintage Champion Raja. Hello, Vintage Champion Raja. How's it going?
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this middle school format. Of course, I love Vintage, and that's where I met you guys was through Vintage, but here we're today playing middle school, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh, yes. I'm excited. Middle school is great. It brings back all of the feels, especially when... growing up playing Magic in actual middle school, I played Basic Mountains, and my best friend at the time was playing Elves. And so this is actually the middle school nostalgia all coming back at the same time.
This is it right here.
Yeah, right. For those who haven't followed along with their league, Andrew Webb is on Elves. Take a look at that elf deck right here.
It's open deck list for our viewers, so the players know each other's decks here, so we're not spilling any secrets.
Right.
Beautiful gold border, fully proxy deck. Rob, if you can give a little background of where this deck came from.
Oh yeah, so this was kind of a prize/gift for Andrew Webb for winning our season 3 invitational tournament. And this was the deck that he qualified or won with for middle school that qualified him for the event was Elves. And now he's a proxied version of it.
That's awesome. Similar thing, one of the guys on Team Sirius was proxying up Vintage decks, and it doesn't work as well. Probably won't be as playable in a couple years as this middle school deck, but I have a proxy version of the white deck, initiative deck on the way from Mike Solomasi. So same deal. Really, really cool to have those souvenirs.
You'll see real quick, Andrew's playing Unsleeved with Romancing the Stone backs.
Yeah, beautiful.
But let's take a quick look at Stu's deck before they start playing here. As they resolve their mulligans.
Mono red, I love the mono red, the dedication with the altars. I think a lot of these altars, I hooked Stu up with my altarist, so they've been working on this deck for a year and some now. I think I don't know what else he's planning to do, but it's coming together very nicely.
We're gonna have to chat a little bit because his deck is gorgeous, and I have gorgeous deck envy. There's going
to be some other sideboard cards. I think he's going to have to get Crash and some other ones there.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into the action. I think it looks like they're resolving mulligans, Rob.
They have resolved their mulligans, and they have started by having their turn 1 play.
Stu's got a mountain and a jackal pup in play, and Andrew's got a forest with a Aquarian Ranger. So both are executing their plan, what they're trying to do, that they came to do.
Yep. Notably, Stu is first seed, so he is on the play.
Yeah, Stu is on the play. He plays a mountain, Seal of Fire. Seal of Fire dispatches the Aquarian Ranger, and he bashes for 2, taking Andrew down to 18 there.
Love to see it. I wonder if
a second Seal of Fire to take care of whatever comes next, and then he passes.
Okay, so shields are we have the pressure and we have the shields up for Stu, and Andrew's going to miss a land drop.
Land drop, and he puts a Wirewood Symbiote into play, which is not so great with no elves in play.
No, and it's usually the thing you want to play with other elves, so you can kind of protect them from these burn spells. And
Stu plays a Wasteland, incinerates the symbiote, and leaves the Seal of Fire up for the next thing now. And I'm going to guess he's going to play here with 1 card left. He's going to play Lavamancer. So he's set up to pick off the next couple things. If that symbiote was just bait, then Andrew's very sad here. Andrew goes Finhorn. Still no land. Oh my gosh!
Wow.
This might be a very short game.
Yeah, I mean, this Jackal Pup is going to be the difference between a long game and a game that ends, I think.
So Lavamancer dispatches that Finhorn, bash again, yeah?
Sure. Now, notably, Stu no longer has cards in the graveyard, so this Lavamancer still has to do more work if he's going to activate again. But we follow up with a Mog Fanatic. We still have Seal of Fire. That makes 2 cards. And if we get desperate, we can Wasteland our own Wasteland to put a card in the graveyard.
Yeah. Here's a Finhorn Elf. Andrew, still no lands. Andrew's begging his deck to provide something here.
I mean, Andrew just needs to untap, and he's casting his land each turn, and it's just getting bolted.
Yeah, those boltable lands, those Dryad Arbors.
Yep. All right.
Here's another
Stu
incinerate
draws
from
a
Stu.
red spell that, a stone
Uh,
rain essentially
and then
for
yeah,
2
and then he
mana.
just is disrespectful of whatever Andrew's gonna do. He just swings with his Lavamancer
He's got the Seal of
and
Fire, right? Yeah, this yes.
plays another Lavamancer, and now Stu is hellbent.
Okay, so I mean, this was the dream for Stu, right? Being on the play,
Andrew scoops
having
it up. Andrew
this
scoops it
kind of
up there. He
disruption,
saw
and
enough.
then Andrew, yeah, Andrew didn't have
He saw
anything.
enough. He saw enough. That's. I mean, Stu cannot ask for a better, opener there. Everything hinged on the Quirion Ranger, and it just didn't come together for Andrew. And
Um,
I could guess maybe even had a cradle. And I'm gonna play cradle, get it wasted. I'm gonna tap it for 1, right? Like so.
well, no,
Man.
I have to assume if Andrew had the Cradle, he would have played a creature, then played Cradle, tapped it for 1, cast another creature. Because
Then
I
got
have to
wasted.
assume. I have to assume, and I don't know. Well, that was definitely not how Andrew drew it up. That was the perfect draw from Stu, coupled with a stumbling draw from Andrew.
Now let's pull up the sideboards here. What is Andrew gonna do? Does he have spider silk armor?
So Andrew's sideboard cards, he does not have Spiral Silk Armor. He does have a Spike Feeder that gains life. He does
Champion.
have a Baloth.
Elvis champion there.
Elvis Champion. Yeah, Champion is
Yeah,
fine.
so
Beef
that'll
stuff
be
up.
there. Then Genesis will come for the grind plan. So the
Sure.
thing that Andrew, I guess, in glancing at the deck list, I didn't even realize there's survival in the deck. So Stu's just really lucky how that went. In
Yes.
hindsight, now me looking at the deck list a little closer, like Stu should not have been in that game. And Andrew is going to bring in this Elvis champion. He's going to bring in the Baloth. He's going to bring in the Spike Feeder. He's going to bring in the Genesis.
Yeah.
He has two champions. So both of those will come in. Likely the things that'll come out for him are going to be probably the Tangle Wires. He's
Yeah,
looking
those
at
are
those in
great.
his hand, just cursing them probably in game 1, right?
Yeah, and they're risky to, even though Andrew's going to be on the play, I think they're a little risky to keep in because Stu's deck can play at instant speed just fine. So
Tangle Wire is not going to do anything against Stu.
yeah.
Stu's just going to wait a turn to burn his face.
Yep.
And maybe again, it may be in the situation where you're trying to provide yourself a couple turns of space, but that's not a card I want to draw here. If I'm Andrew, so
For sure. Let's look at what Stu could bring in. Stu's got a number of fun things in his
Snaring
deck.
Bridge. Here we go.
Snaring Bridge is a great one. Stu has shown a propensity to bring in Snaring Bridge in a lot of matchups that most people might not think about it. And I think part of that is because he's playing 23 land Sligh, as I'm calling it now, which is more control-y. So he is totally fine playing the long game. He's got his 8 non-basic lands to kind of, commit to that game plan. And Snaring Bridge seems fine. He's playing red cards. He can dump his hand real quick. I expect to see that come in.
Yeah, I expect Snaring Bridge. I don't see Pyroclasm in Stu's Cyber, which I think he wishes he had here. But
Sure.
I maybe Furnace Stu's if he's playing the long game. You just keep furnacing, to keep those squeeze or Genesis targets out of the graveyard.
Sure.
So I expect maybe those would be targets, and I might subtract a Fire Blast if I was Stu. Maybe I would subtract a Lava Man. I was looking at Stu's list, and I was wondering how often he's unable to activate his Lavamancer. It just seems awkward a lot of times with no fetch lands.
Sure. Yeah, I can see cutting Fire Blast. One of those seems fine. Volcanic Hammer is sorcery speed. Those are usually the weaker burn spells. I could see maybe some of those being removed for some of these other sideboard cards that are maybe more impactful. Now, we don't have some of the bigger, red sweepers like Pyrokinesis or Pyroclasm. But we do have a way to punish Andrew for playing spells, and that is Pyrostatic Pillar. Do
Pillar
we think
might
that
be
that's
a way
something
for
to come
Stu
in?
to play a game. Yeah, I think Pillar might be a way for Stu to just prevent, because that prevents life gain. Is that Vortex?
No, that's whenever a player plays a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, they take 2.
Okay, so I wish it was Sulfuric Vortex here, but maybe Pyrostatic Pillar.
We do
is
have 2
fine.
Vortex, so we could bring in 2
Okay.
Vortex. We have access to
I
those.
play those. Play the vortex. That's gonna prevent Andrew from grinding any kind of long game plan,
Sure.
which he wants to do with this Genesis. So I might skip the furnaces even and just say, we're gonna try to kill you fast. We're up a game, right? So maybe furnace plus vortex and just skip the bridges here, right? Because you're not getting killed by phage or something, right? So
Yeah, I
um,
think game 2 on the draw, Stu's incentivized to maybe be a bit more controlling. Definitely be the control. So I can see the
just get
furnaces come
blown
in for the
out by
long game.
naturalize in the E bridge, right? Like I
Well,
just don't trust
yeah,
sitting on an E bridge, right?
that's very true. And Stu knows that there's naturalizes opposing him, and
Yeah,
Andrew knows that there's bridges opposing him. So it's a,
right.
you know,
It's a chicken, like
right. But the thing is,
and
naturalizes, come in
well, it's
because,
good targets anyway. You get scroll rack,
yeah, scroll rack is
curse
very,
scroll. I
very
mean to
good.
say curse scroll. I mean to say.
I mean, Stu was saying, this in most games, this feels like a really uphill battle for Stu in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
The
we'll
survival
see.
hits Stu is like not going to win probably. So let's see if
Yeah.
Andrew can do that.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how these players do decide to board. Um, they both know what their decks are doing. They both know how they like to board in these situations.
Right.
Stu is
Did they
undefeated in
play?
this
Have they
league.
played? They didn't play in the Swiss, did they?
They have not played in the Swiss, but Stu has
Sure.
lost in top 4 against Elves before. So this is another reason why Stu was not happy about this matchup. So Stu is no stranger to this in the moment. So we'll see, what they do. Stu is undefeated. He has shown that he has a game
Stu's on
plan.
7 and Andrew's on what, 5? They're
Um,
still resolving mulligans here. I can't imagine they're both on 7. Or maybe they just were chit-chatting. I don't know. Okay. Putting 1 back. Andrew's putting 1 back.
okay, so
So,
Andrew's on. I like this. This seems good for Stu. He's got the
Forest,
extra
Barbarian
card,
Ranger.
and
Yeah,
now he's 2
Forest
cards
Ranger
ahead.
go.
All right, so we're
Forest
gonna.
Ranger go, and then Mountain Seal.
Yep. All right, so Stu says I'm the control. Andrew already doubling the amount of mana sources this game as he did from last
Indeed.
game with a second
Plays
forest.
with an acolyte following it. Wasteland from Stu considers, plays a scroll.
Okay. If you're Stu, do you want to bolt this acolyte or do you want to let Andrew pay for it?
I'll make him pay.
Which Andrew does.
He's not gonna add anything. If he adds a symbiote here, like it's kind of okay. So Cradle plus Llanowar Elf and then attack. That's again, if you're Stu, this is probably fine. There's no symbiote, no ranger. Okay, here's the bolt. So he paid for it. He's gonna get rid of the Llanowar Elf to prevent further mana production.
Yep.
Which is fine. I guess Stu doesn't care about taking 2. He plans that guy's going to get killed at some point by a Mog fanatic or this, curse scroll.
I'm incentivized now, if I'm a Stu, to kill it now.
There he
Just to get rid of
Hammer.
because it gets rid of the extra mana from Cradle. And we see Stu did leave in hammers.
Take out? Yeah, what did he take out then? There's the hammer. There's another scroll.
Maybe Urza's Rage because it costs 3.
Yeah, and here's the 23 land Sligh. His plan now is to get up to 6 mana and be activating these twice a turn. Right?
Activate these.
So, now he's just asking his deck for lands.
So if you watched the stream from last week where we featured Stu versus Tweety,
and Andrew's board is back to what it was.
Andrew's board, yeah. Andrew follows up with Acolyte and a Llanowar Elves to go back to where we were. But Stu and if we watched last week's stream, Stu's propensity to activate Curse Scroll when he could, but then chooses not to, is higher.
I need to have a scroll meeting with Stu after this, maybe before the finals.
We'll see. He said he went back and watched our commentary about it. Andrew specifically joined me last week, so Andrew and I were calling Stu's match and saying, hey, you need to activate your Curse Scroll. And 10 turns later, Stu hadn't activated his Curse Scroll. So so we'll see what Andrew banks on here. Oh, Andrew's going to fall for survival. Here we go.
Survival. He has 3 cards. He has none creatures. So his Cradle is sitting useless right now. And so on his upkeep, we're going to see what Andrew does. Stu has 2 cards in hand, I believe. 2 cards, 2 curse scrolls in play, a wasteland, 2 mountains. He's hemming and hawing. He's looking at this survival and he's not sure what he's going to do about it. He passes it back. He can't do anything about it.
2
He's gonna have to
cards in
see what
hand is
Andrew can do.
he passes with 2 cards in hand, which I think, depending on how this red deck is drawn the games, may make one of these curse scrolls live. So
No,
hopefully we
it's
see a curse
fire
scroll
blast.
activation.
It's 2 fire blasts. Or it's a fire blast and another card that he can't cast right now, I'm gonna guess.
Right.
Fire blast this is where he's bitten by all those fire blasts.
Sure. Especially if he didn't take any out.
All
right, Andrew's gonna tap 2 forests.
Yeah. Tap 2 forests. He wants to maybe get his cradle going.
Pivots, changes
So
course.
he started his turn with 3 cards. He has 4 cards in hand now. He didn't survival on his upkeep, so that means he didn't have any creatures, and he just passes to Stu. Is that what he's doing here?
If so, that tells me he's planning
End
to
of
change
turn,
some survivals.
Stu activates the scroll rack or the curse scroll. He shuffles up his 2 cards, and he will name. What did he name? Do you hear him?
I have him muted, but he named. Ooh, there's an ensnaring bridge. All right, let's see if the life total changes. Life total did not change. Okay.
He didn't want that one to be
so
shown.
Andrew's got some good information.
Seal of Fire. Okay,
that's a solid pick.
Great. It's good.
That's really good in this situation.
But that would look like it was his top deck. So here we go. We're pitching Priest of Titania end of turn.
Okay. I imagine that's what Andrew was contemplating playing, but instead opted to survival it. And we're going to immediately get the Sligh engine going, which just makes sense. I think that is Andrew's path to victory here, is to draw an extra card every turn.
He's at 20 life, right?
Yeah, he is the
time.
And
he gets orangutan because he saw the ensnaring bridge, which is fine. Which is fine. Stu just drew another ensnaring bridge, I'm sure, so it probably doesn't matter.
I think it's the curse of the curse scroll to only draw singletons when you have them in play. So Stu's gonna have to play the ensnaring bridge in order to draw the second one.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. So Multani's Acolyte was the last in the chain. He's going to untap with the Acolyte, get the Sligh. He's going to try to get some draws going. I can imagine he's going to Acolyte and then Sligh for the symbiote, right?
Sure. That makes sense to me. I think Acolyte seems like the perfect thing to do here. You don't want to trade resources. And so Acolyte lets you draw a card, and if Stu doesn't answer it, then you could start
Here's the
attacking
Wasteland. Okay, so Stu decides to activate his Wasteland. He gets the Cradle with the Acolyte on the stack, right? So the
that
Cradle
makes sense.
Can't make mana.
Sure.
And now we're cut off from survivaling, but we just had another Cradle. It's fine.
And not only does he have the Cradle, but he follows up with the Symbiote, which makes this Acolyte
out of hand. Oh, out of hand. Oh,
out of hand. Yes.
That is worse for us if we are a red deck.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. If Stu continues to not draw land in his 23 land Sligh deck, Andrew's gonna have a chance to really kind of take over the game with the survival.
Is that Stu's secret sideboard plan, like taking out 2 mountains?
I mean, maybe you could
2
go
mountains
and
a fire blast, right?
I would have taken out Wasteland over mountains in this matchup.
Fair enough.
Or maybe Port.
Yeah,
one of those two. Yeah. But who knows? Who knows?
Okay, here is the Seal. Seal is whacking the symbiote.
Okay, and Andrew responds by bouncing the Multani to his hand. Sure, don't want to pay the Echo.
That makes sense.
Recast it, draw another card. Andrew's grinding.
Value time here. I mean, they're both at 20 life. Question, like it's like.
Stu took 2. Stu should be at 18. I don't think he's updating his life total.
You're right. Yeah.
There he goes.
What a cheater.
Now the life totals are up to date.
Okay, but I mean, 19 to 18, and we're on like turn 7 or something.
Yes, this is a very, very different game. What a difference it makes when you can cast spells.
Yeah, if Andrew doesn't win this game and we don't get a game 3, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm not telling our viewers that this is the right time to go get a snack, but if you need a drink, now might be the time to get it. I don't know that this game is going to be very good for Stu, even with the ensnaring bridge. But he's fighting, but he has no literal way to remove the survival, right? Like, so
No.
with Squee and Forrest, like, Andrew should win, right? There's probably not a world where Andrew doesn't win this game.
Yes, because so if we look back to their sideboards again, Stu didn't have Pyroclasm. He doesn't have any way to kind of gain card advantage out of this other than like Scroll Rack, which is in his deck, or Curse Scroll, which is already in play, but is very mana intensive. And so Andrew, the way that he's been playing this game with Survival and Squee and with his Acolytes, he's just gaining his card advantage that way. And when he starts playing multiple spells a turn, Stu can't keep up because he doesn't have any way to just sweep. So he has to play multiple spells a turn to keep up, or multiple effects, and he doesn't have the land to do so at the moment.
And Andrew's going to close it out really quick, because what's going to happen is probably he's going to play. He only needs to build a board of a couple guys. I don't know if he doesn't have Hive Master, I don't think, but don't think it matters. He just needs to get a champion to end the chain, right? Now
Yeah,
he's
there's
attacking
champion,
like
or there's got to be
turn.
a deranged tournament in here somewhere.
I think, yeah, but champion probably just makes it so that he just closes it out in a couple attack steps.
Yep. Well, Stu notably now has 3 mountains and now has 1 card in hand. So
Okay.
we can we're in upkeep
bolted,
scroll
okay.
range.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
It's not horrible. And he's just taunting Andrew with the ensnaring bridge. Like, when you start attacking, you're gonna have to spend a turn blowing this up, right? And
Yep.
like you said, once he plays it, he's gonna draw the next one. So we'll see.
I'm wondering if like Stu can upkeep Curse Scroll whatever Andrew plays. But I wonder if he takes the turn to play the ensnaring bridge just to force Andrew to, just to get out of his hand and to,
Yeah, but he's so many mountains left in his deck. Like, I would activate it on the upkeep and whack the priest here, but like, I mean, he's making more elves. Oh, okay. Mog Fanatic's not bad, but it still like doesn't let us.
It's just going to trade to the priest.
Right? Yeah, but we still don't get to do both things. I want to be able to do both, like,
right.
And Stu's gonna fight, but again, let's just see how Andrew navigates it, because Andrew's a good player. Here's Genesis. Okay, so like,
That's a big
unless
deal.
Stu can top deck Furnace, but even then, it's like, okay, I'll use my orangutan on that then.
Sure.
And does Andrew have 2 squeeze? Was there a sideboard squee for him?
Let me check. We'll just take a look together. Andrew's deck says there is no sideboard squee. There's just the 1 squee, so we can remove it. We're in good shape.
Yeah. But he has anger, right?
He does have anger, so he does have the combo.
So he's probably just gonna kill Stu in 1 turn.
He could. He definitely could. If he can find that mountain, it is definitely a possibility.
Oh, he just he has Granger, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think Chad is telling that. Oh yeah, Jimmy, he picked this deck up, so he knows some of the lines. He's saying, yeah, he's just gonna go for Granger, and anger.
That makes sense.
So again, I mean, it's nice to see the cards on the table. I like to see Stu's cards; they're very pretty. But he could probably concede here.
Yep. And this is where we start getting.
I'm not being a dick, Stu. I'm not being a dick. I'm actually rooting for you secretly, so don't.
Basic mountains for life, but I mean,
okay. And Rob's not secretly rooting for you.
No, hey, like I said, in middle school, it was the red deck versus the elves deck. And then it was then my friend switched from elves to mono blue, which is how I got into red blast. But
that's how you really realized, that was like, yes, I understand why I hate blue now.
Yes, so
because also, like, the first time when you start playing blue, like, you get destroyed by the counterspell deck, and then you pick it up and play it horribly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I played the counterspell deck, and like I'll date myself, but I'll say the first played in '94, but the first time I played like a counterspell deck was in Cold Snap, and it was the Drownu deck. Do you know that deck?
Oh, it's ringing a bell.
So like this
Yeah.
dude like flashback, and you could flashback sorceries from your graveyard. So I'm like at F&M. I put this together, and I'm like countering Into the North and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Should I counter that? That seems really good. They're gonna get a land. I don't know. Man, my opponents were like very tilted. I'm
Yeah.
friends with those dudes now. Okay, Andrew's looking to close it out. So he grabs the Hermit off his activation. He's looking for Hermit. He's going to get the Squee back. So we can expect he's going to activate Squee. He's going to get Anger. He's going to... Oh, Stu's going to do something. Stu's doing something. What's he doing?
We're going to ping with Curse Scroll. We get to
I don't
ping
think it matters. It doesn't matter. Survival. No. He makes 5 mana. He's going to play the Hermit. He's going to attack you with a bunch of angry squirrels, and that's it, man. But it's okay. Stu, doing it for the gram.
All right, so Stu's out here is to draw a 1-mana removal spell and cast that on the Hermit to reduce the power. Play Bridge, have Bridge get blown up, draw 2nd Bridge. That's where we are.
I think
have no cards in hand.
I think that's about where we are. Yeah, if he has a 1-mana removal spell. Oh no, he doesn't have a 1-mana removal. So he's gonna get bashed by 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Next turn.
Oh, he didn't get Anger. Why did he not?
Well, because we don't have a way to get. We don't have a mountain.
Have a mountain. Oh,
so we don't have a way to make a mountain yet. But okay, so let's see. Does Stu draw one? Okay, 1-mana removal spell. Oh, well, 1-mana creature that blocks. That's something.
Kind of. Yeah. Kind of.
Okay, so I think we just like. Well, we don't. We need to kill the.
Yeah, the
deranged Hermit.
Can't he take damage? Kill the deranged Hermit, take damage, and then yeah. Okay. All right, not horrible.
All right, okay. Yeah.
We curse scroll the Hermit. We take 4, then 5, 6, and then if he wants to do the Anger line here, he has to get Granger. Andrew's still a little awkward. Andrew still needs 2 more turns, I think. But like, yeah. Kyle in chat says you should do what he did in game 1. I agree, Kyle.
However, that starts with being on the play. So, which unfortunately Stu did not do this game.
Yeah. Just be better at being on the
Andrew's
play.
entered the Masticore phase of this game.
Wow. Okay.
He's tutored up Masticore with survival, saying, "Hey, like, at least this thing regenerates."
I guess a 4-mana thing. I guess. I don't know.
It will at least stop Lavamancer from taking over the game. Stu's going to pass the turn.
I can imagine though that Anger would be a cut for Andrew, right? Because as we've discussed, his plan is a grind plan, right? He's not planning to kill you in 1 turn. And what else is he taking out of his deck? A lot of the deck is injured.
It just depends on how aggressive he wants to be when he's on the play. If he's on the draw, grinding out.
We haven't seen the Tangle Wires, so those have probably got cut.
Those, right? Yeah, I have to assume those are gone.
And so, but what else did he want to bring in? He probably had 3 naturalizes he wanted to bring in.
We've seen the
champions, the 2 champions,
the feeder,
the Master Core, right?
Yeah, I think champions might be the last thing to come in. I think it's the Spike Feeder makes sense. Master Core came in.
Baloth is the other one. I imagine
Baloth is in the deck.
So I can imagine the Anger was a cut just because you don't need to kill him in 1 turn.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you can't bring in champion because you're facing Ensnaring Bridge. And you just want to make sure you get underneath. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Like on one hand, it like will just
Kamal,
anthem your team and win.
He has Kamal in his deck?
Yes, there's a Kamal in the 75.
So that's a way to kill. You just attack with 1/1s, right?
Yes. Well, or you just turn, Stu's land into 1/1s and Masticore them down.
That's
which Andrew might have the mana to do.
Okay, so
right
he
now.
he did play the Masticore. He did Masticore down the Lava Mancer. He's still just smashing. Stu's gonna shoot down the Hermit here, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna matter for Stu. It's pretty elementary, I think, at this point.
Um.
Um, just wants to see the lines and maybe see some other sideboard cards. I think it's fine for Stu to keep playing.
Yeah. I
See
think.
what the sideboard plan was.
Let's
There's a
see what
Bailoff, so
Stu's gonna take. The bailout, I think that seals the deal. I think Stu had a turn to draw another bridge and then like throw one bridge under the monkey and then cast another one and survive. But I don't think Stu has that turn anymore.
with
And
the
without a way to
Bailoff.
catch up, I
He did
think this is
11. He's
we're
gonna
just
take
information gathering now.
4, 8. Yeah, he's gonna die next turn unless yeah, there's no way he can't survive. He's gonna play bridge, it's gonna get blown up, he's gonna die. Okay, so all right, so game 3, Stu's gonna be on the play.
Yep, which is where you want to be on a red deck.
And yeah, we're gonna, as Kyle said, we're gonna hope to go back to form of game 1 and do what we did in that one. And the thing is, that's actually cool. I would say is that as you said, maybe taking out the ports, but like um, if he probably didn't take out any lands. I was joking about that, but point is that Stu has a monodial plan that could actually get him there in game 3 if he can get it online, right?
Yeah, so on Stu's potentially last turn, he draws and plays a Grim Lava Mancer. Still has Chris Scroll mana up and Chris Scrolls to activate and an Ensnaring Bridge stuck in hand, which we can't play because we already know that there's a monkey. And Stu says, yep, nope, I don't even need to see the next card you draw because you're not going to show it to me.
Yeah.
Game is over. All right, so
I always like game 3s. I do. I mean, again, Stu has his work cut out for him. I don't think it's going to end well for Stu. Just having seen the power of Andrew's deck and once his engine gets going, but we saw what happened in game 1. So
I think so. It's going to depend on like two things for Andrew. Can Andrew get the mana sources that aren't boltable, and then 2, can he get the namesake card of survival for his deck?
Right. Yeah,
if Andrew can do those 2 things, Stu's in a tight spot. Being on the play gives him the tempo advantage of if he can just turn 1 Jacob up, or just
sure,
but will get a long way.
Andrew has a variety of hands he can keep, right? In game 1, he had the hands of like dork, dork, dork. But in game 3 here, Andrew can really just keep like land, forest, survival, dude, right? That's his hand needs 4 cards in it, basically.
Yeah, no, that is a keepable hand.
And so if I'm Andrew, I'm mulliganing very aggressively, probably. I don't want anything that's like game 1. I want to be able to deploy a threat on turn 1 if I can, but if not, I need survival on turn 2, right? That's the card that I need. If I don't have that, that's probably not a keepable hand at this point. If you don't have that, I can't think of the combination of cards that Andrew's going to have that he's going to say, yes, I'm going to keep this 7 without survival.
So there's a sweet spot here, I think, where Andrew can kind of get a few free moles out of this to kind of find the hands you just described. Because while Stu is a Sligh deck, he's more control oriented, and as a result, he's a little bit slower, and he's geared up to play a slower game. Which means if you mulligan down a few cards, Stu isn't necessarily going to commit his red spells to race you.
Exactly.
But if you go down too far, Stu being on the play may just say, "Hey, I'm the red deck. I can do this.
I'm going to red deck you." Yeah, which is fair. And then Stu just has to hope to not flood, right?
Right.
And I think for Andrew, again, that's where I can see Andrew's going to be mulliganing to 5 if he doesn't have a survival. 5 or even 4. I don't see him winning otherwise.
Yep, I think Stu.
But if he does, it's his chances are. The percentages are so high for him. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're calling it exactly right. I think that's what Andrew's looking for. He knows that is a card that not only is good against Stu, but Stu can't answer. which of
Yeah,
course makes
chat's
it better.
calling out Furnace also for survival, which again is not bad, and it can help stop the squee engine. But
Yes.
remember that Andrew has Genesis as well. So in a longer game, if you only have one Furnace and you are have to sack it to get the squee, then you're not in good shape. Okay, here we go. We're on
Here we go.
action.
All right, Stu's
Stu,
on plan. Turn
yeah,
one.
aggressive.
Turn one banana, I think, is the technical term we've described that this is a banana and a ham sandwich, as it
Okay,
is a
turn
smaller
one
creature.
banana, smaller. And so Andrew also does a banana, a nice banana, in a Finhorn elf that gets hammered.
Yes.
Stu, I don't know what we have to talk to him about the sideboard. What is his hammer still in the deck? I don't
I
know,
mean, it
but
interacts, right? It's. I think it's better than Urza's Rage,
sure,
so
yeah.
it's one less mana. It's not. It's sorcerer speed, but I think it's efficient, and I think that's maybe what Stu's looking for.
Forest and Priest of Titania that will tap for 1 mana as of right now. So Andrew has 2 forests and a priest. This is the board state Stu wants. He's likely going to be able to dispatch it. Here's an incinerate for the
Yep.
priest. So we're going to the same script as game 1.
And we've got a
The
lava
only
man
difference,
on curve here.
indeed, but the only difference for Stu though is that Andrew has 2 lands. So he
Yes.
does have some mana making ability beyond the dudes. And here we see Acolyte. Okay,
Yep.
no survival. Interesting that Andrew has kept this hand, but perhaps he is bagging the survival. Perhaps he wants Stu to expend more cards from his hand to perhaps know what Stu has, and if he has an ensnaring bridge or a furnace, for example. He's waiting to see what's there.
Yep. So notably, no follow-up play from Andrew off of the farce. He did draw off the
He
acolyte,
did, yeah.
so he doesn't
put
have
a
the one
forest
drop in
play with
hand.
nothing else. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, here's a furnace from Stu.
Stu has the furnace. Okay, this is great. So not only can this answer, potentially a squee to just stop the free, card advantage engine that Andrew can generate, but it also could be a card for Lavamancer if we get desperate. We've got a wasteland. So
yeah, Stu has wasteland and passes it back. Andrew's board is looking very, very empty. He taps a green and adds a Finhorn elf. I believe he only has 2 cards in hand. Perhaps he has 3.
2 cards, 3 cards. Okay, and
Okay.
we're gonna naturalize.
Okay.
Wow.
The furnace gets naturalized in response to the furnace activation. Stu's thinking about it, and he's going to pop furnace on what? That was an
Acolyte, it
acolyte, I
looks like.
believe.
Yeah.
So ranger plus acolyte are gone. No real value from that for Stu, but again, if Andrew had a survival, I can't
Ooh.
imagine he wouldn't have played it. So I'm not clear what Andrew was naturalizing that furnace for, except for the long-term value. Just when I get survival, I need to have that gone.
Stu notably hasn't missed a land drop, is now on land 5, which
With no curse scroll. With no
curse scroll, which is kind of a dicey place to be. He looks like he's got 1, maybe 2 cards in hand. We do have 2 cards in the graveyard now, so this Lavamancer is still active, so we're not dead, and we still have real pressure, right?
Yeah.
We still have the Jackal Pup. Andrew should fall to 12 here.
Yeah, Jackal Pup is real. So Andrew's at 12, Stu's at 20. Here's a hermit.
No!
Okay, so that's what he was just bagging. He must have had that in hand. That's the card that he said, okay, I can probably, if I land some of these dorks, I will be able to hit it before turn 5. I will guess he didn't have 5 forests to start.
Ooh, okay.
But he has drawn into those forests. Stu adds a Seal of Fire to the board, and he's thinking now how he wants to do this. He could wait, make Andrew pay the Echo, and in which he does do that. So Andrew's going to pay the Echo on his Hermit, knowing that, Stu's going to have to, forcing Stu to expend his Seal of Fire here.
Yep. And
or Lava Man. He could leave up. I might leave up the Seal of Fire if I was Stu. Probably, I would probably activate Lava Man instead.
I think, yeah. I mean, at the very least, well, yes. I think activating.
You can attack next turn with Lava Man, right?
Yeah, we can attack. That makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, we could do both, but I don't think taking a squirrel makes any sense. I think it's just. I think Andrew just said, "Hey, this is going to be a roadblock. I don't want to keep taking damage from this Jackal Pup." And all right, that's fine.
But unfortunately, Stu can kind of like Do that grind game. How many cards does Andrew have? Just one?
He
Two?
looks like he just has the one card. So that definitely puts the match in Stu's, advantage if we were going to put the advantage bar back. Stu probably has it. He's got, Andrew down to a virtual 8, and he's drawing cards that allegedly bring Andrew's life total down. So we could easily see with the mana that Stu has available now, he can cast multiple spells per turn and really bring Andrew down. And if Andrew just has mana sources, that doesn't get him anywhere. He needs something now for some action. Playing a 1/1 mana dork doesn't change the board state really at all.
How many hermits does he have in his deck? If Andrew
Survey
slammed the second
says
one, slam it, Andrew.
He's got 2 in the 75.
Right. Do it, baby.
So we've seen one. You know what else would do good right now? Would be a symbiote.
Symbiote would be good. We see Acolyte. Acolyte's going to help grind. So let's see. Let's see.
Cradle gives
Cradle flashes.
That's fine.
The Cradle,
which doesn't change the board state.
Okay. Do we have a Masticore to mow some stuff down? Maybe
Masticore would change the board state.
Yeah. Masticore would get nasty. What are we doing, Andrew? He's tanking. He has 2 cards. He's thinking. What is his one card? What is he doing? Cradle.
That's a lot of mana. That's
Lord.
Spike feeder.
Spike feeder. Okay.
Are we just gonna feed it into Spike feeder?
Man, Stu.
Okay.
I was rooting for you, buddy. I was rooting for you, Stu. It seems like it's drifting
okay.
away. Oh no!
Oh no! Okay, so Stu can answer this, but it's going to be painful, right? Stu has to activate the Steel of Fire and the Lavamancer. We got mana floating, which means that we have to respond before the symbiote comes down. We can move counters onto the Hermit if we want to. I don't think we will, though.
Is activated. Stu's activating it. He's targeting the Hermit.
Yep.
Hermit goes down.
Okay. This is still a problem.
Symbiote still on the stack?
I hope so, because his Acolyte is a problem otherwise.
Oh, man. But
I guess we can get rid of the symbiote.
Just kill the symbiote, I think.
Yeah, we can get rid of the symbiote.
Let him do one bounce, but man, Stu, I was rooting for you, man.
But Acolyte's going to go down. Okay. So that's fine. Notably, Stu is not using any of the cards in his hand. I'm curious if they are spells or if that deal damage, or if they're not spells, if they're more land.
Man, wish one of them was a curse scroll.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the red zone here. We're gonna attack with I think 3.
Why not?
We're gonna put counters onto the squirrel. And we have a 2/2 squirrel. All right, do you block? Do you just block? No, we can't block.
No, you don't block, but it just sucks so much. Damn it.
Well, because Andrew could put another counter and make a 3/3, and I think a 3/3 is bigger than.
Yeah, again,
Stu just says, "Yeah, I'll take your disrespectful
Andrew's fine
attack."
either way. He's not going to add another counter. He's just going to say, "Kill your dude, dome you for 2." Right?
Look at that disrespect, though. Andrew says, "I don't need these 2 life from the Spike feeder, but the squirrel needs to be a 2/2."
Again,
here it comes.
I think just again, Andrew knows this board state. He understands where we are at in the game. Stu does not have a scroll. Andrew does not have survival, but it doesn't matter. If Stu top deck scroll here, game changer. But otherwise, again, Andrew's in the command here.
Yeah, Stu untaps, plays a Seal of Fire, which I believe he drew. Wastelands the Cradle, plays another Wasteland, and seems to pass the turn.
Yeah, if I'm Stu here, again, you don't have to whack the symbiote. You can wait till there's an eligible elf, on the stack. But
and we still have Steel of Fire and Lava Man, so we still can take care of 2 things if we need to.
Yeah,
like this 2/2 disrespectful squirrel. All right. Well, this is definitely a much better game than game 1, as far as entertainment goes. Although I do enjoy a good red Zerg rush, taking advantage of the weakness of no land drops. But we'll see here. A moment ago, I thought Stu was in a great position. Now, I don't feel as good about it. Morph. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay,
This is just insult to injury now, Andrew. Stu says, what? Hey, morph on the stack, buddy. Morph on the stack.
Okay, are we morphing on the stack, or are we...
Get your morph. He's like, I'm casting this morph. I'm still going to kill you.
Is it a morph or... No, because you know what? We're playing unsleeved, so that's not a morph. That is just a squirrel token being held back. That is what it is. Because there's two attacking 1/1s, and because he put a counter on one. So 2 attacking 1/1s, 1 attacking 2/2.
Yeah, what do you think this is? Vintage champs? You don't have to bring the tokens to represent your stuff.
Oh man.
Come on. I'm noting this down. Send Andrew squirrel token.
All right, chat. Yes. No, if he wins this and wins the finals, he does need more squirrel tokens.
Well, I will say, who printed this deck that didn't include tokens in it?
That is a good call out. That
I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but
I believe that is we can blame Brian Hockey for that. It's fine to blame Hockey for everything because he's won our invitational 3 times now. So
Hockey,
we can bring him down a peg.
Damn it, Hockey!
Right?
I agree.
Mr. Basketball himself. That's right, Chad.
I'll happily blame. What do I call him? Francois Lacrosse.
Well, our players are slowing down their play. Play is getting a little bit more complicated. It looks like Stu says, hey, I want to make sure this thing isn't here to add combat damage shenanigans. So he goes for it with the Lavamancer. Andrew gains 2, goes up to 14. It's 14 all. And this game was starting to slip away. We were kind of in a position where if the cards in hand were burn spells, we could kind of, bolt Andrew down.
But Andrew might just brick here. If Stu
could very well brick.
Somehow get the cursed scroll. Come on,
cursed scroll would be a big deal here.
Because again, here's the awkward Lavamancer. We have no fetch lands. We're having a difficult time feeding him, right?
Yes, we only draw 1 card a turn, so right now we still have an activation. We can wasteland around wasteland, and we still have the furnace. And Andrew just says, "Hey, I'm the beatdown now." And
so Jimmy says, "Oh, so maybe it's a force mage. Is it a force mage? Or are you saying it's a?"
No, I think it's a squirrel token. I think it's just a squirrel token.
It's a squirrel token
because Andrew's playing unsleeved. The back of his deck says "Romancing the Stones," and that is just a sleeve.
So we whack the symbiote with the Seal of Fire in combat. Yep. We exile that, and we whack the big squirrel in combat.
Yep. So now
we take 2.
Yep. Take 2. Go down to 12. Andrew's got 2 squirrels and 3 cards in hand. Ooh.
And he just passes. So Jimmy in chat says, I predict Andrew has a land and a red card. That would be great for Stu. Stu, again, if Andrew can
Stu draws a land and passes.
Oh gosh.
Stu plays a land and passes.
We need to go back to the game where we had the
Andrew
girls now.
Plays a land and attacks for 2, and Stu says, "Yeah, no problem, buddy. I'll take 2 and go to 12."
Wow. This is the old school here, man. Just battling off the top. Stu does something, Seal of Fire, take out one of them.
This is fine.
Like you said, it's like he's gonna waste this wasteland and Seal of Fire 1.
Yep.
Shoot the other one and stabilize. Right now we're attacking for 1 each turn.
I think if Andrew passes without doing anything, that's what I'm up for.
There's no way Andrew has bricked this many turns in a row. I cannot imagine.
He could have 3 naturalizes in it. Oh, there's the mountain. He has. Oh my gosh! He plays a Wooded Foothills, which represents his mountain.
And Stu, it returns the favor. He's like, I'll draw a land. Sure. I'll draw a land, dude. No worries. And he passes because of Color of the Claw. He doesn't want to get got with a flash creature.
Sure,
Blocking
Caller
his,
could very well easily be in this deck right now, and Andrew's got plenty of land to do it.
Man.
Although Caller does not trigger on the squirrel tokens, but it does. It is a 2/2.
It's gonna flash and block your Lavamancer.
It is a 2/2.
Okay, now we have a port. Take that, Andrew.
Do we port this Wooded Foothills just to send a message? You can't get a mountain this turn.
Take that, Andrew. These guys are both bricking. Naturalize is another candidate for what's in Andrew's hand. Sure. Get you a t-shirt that says "Whack the big squirrels." Thanks, Kyle. Squee Hardcast. Okay. Jimmy suggesting that Squee should get Hardcast. If that is what's in his hand, he should just fetch a mountain and cast his Squee. Because Squee comes back, right?
Well, I would have traded in my Wasteland instead.
Versus the Lightning Bolt? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would have traded. But we're just going to Lightning Bolt Andrew.
Okay, Bolt Phase. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. That's fine.
Symbiote?
Oh,
all right.
But that makes us sad about doing that.
Well, I mean, if we have another burn spell, then, we still can waste and,
We got one card.
Feed the Lavamancer.
This is where Stu's like, where's my fireball?
There's a Bog Fanatic. That kills Symbiote. We don't have to kill Symbiote this moment. We can get into the red zone next turn if...
Kill it now. Attack with Lavamancer. Stop being afraid of the... There's no Collar of the Claw, Stu. Just attack.
Collar Claw can't hurt you. It's not real.
I don't think it's in Andrew's deck.
Okay, this is Aquarian Ranger. I think now we deploy the Mog Fanatic.
Yeah, probably in response. You do.
Yeah, because otherwise, then Andrew gets to generate a turn of card advantage, which Stu can't afford.
Yeah, don't want that nonsense.
So unfortunately, I think we're gonna see Stu might eventually draw the Curse Scroll, and it's gonna get immediately naturalized. But
again, if you're Stu, you're like, that's the card you've been waiting for, man. You've been waiting for it. You get it. But Stu, I think, will skillfully not draw any Cursed Scrolls.
Oh, there it goes. Right on cue, right?
He has one card, though. Now. So even the Naturalize will get...
we'll get 2 out of it.
He gets 2 damage. He gets to kill the Ranger, at least.
We'll still get 2 damage, and then it will feed the Lavamancer.
Port him. Okay, all right. You're not going to do another upkeep. Let's see.
I think Andrew returned it to his hand. Okay, there's the monkey. Trigger in the stack. Trigger in the stack. I guess we kill the monkey.
Yeah, and I don't know. I
guess, no, we've confirmed the worst fears. Stu only has mountain in hand.
Oh, but you know the two.
No.
I guess you shoot it.
We can still Lavamancer it.
That's fine. All right. Well,
I would have Curse Scrolled the monkey with the trigger in the stack in case I drew like a Mog Fanatic.
Yeah,
and could throw that at that 1/1.
Get better value, but again,
Stu plays a mountain.
We're up to 8 mana, 9 mana, so 12 mana will allow us to cast Urza's Rage Kicked.
Yes.
So I hope Stu still has in his deck, and I hope
so now too.
Top decks next turn. Yeah.
Andrew says, "Hey, is this monkey getting in?" And Stu says, "No, it's meeting the Firemaker." All right, and follow up with a symbiote.
Wirewood symbiote. Okay, so Andrew's doing his job. He's drawing cards that do damage. Stu is drawing. We don't know. We assume more lands in this many land deck. And he passes back to Andrew. It's 11 life for Andrew, 8 life for Stu. At this point, I'm just blown away by the lack of action on Andrew's side. I gotta say, again, I'm not rooting for Andrews, but I'm just like, I did not expect the game to go this long at this point.
No. So speaking of long games, you should watch last week's match. Stu wins 2-0 in an hour and like 15 minutes.
Nice.
Game 2 is amazing. Game 1 takes 10 minutes. Game 2 is amazing. Highly recommend it. So far, Andrew's in top deck mode, drawing cards that are hard to cast. Now, we drew Survival and we immediately go get Squeeze. Yeah. So this is where it's going to get off the rails real fast.
Yeah.
if Stu can't immediately answer with a card is powerful. We either need to get rid of the squee.
Okay. So we squeed for Acolyte. It looks like we're fetching. We're going to play the Acolyte because we have Symbiote in play. Stu's counting up his lands here. I mean, that can't be good for Andrew, but I can't imagine. Let's see. Yeah,
No,
9,
this is.
10. Well, we got one more turn if we got a land
I was just about
and
to
a
say
land.
that Andrew was in top deck mode and not drawing any real cards, and he immediately draws survival. So,
So thanks, Rob. Thanks,
yeah,
Rob.
sorry, Stu. Andrew draws Cradle, so now he's cooking with even more gas.
Goodness.
It represents 2 mana now, but there's still another Hermit in the deck.
Again, I hope Stu has Urza's Rage. I hope he just. Oh, okay, he doesn't. He's
Nope.
wastelanding, so he must not have it.
We're just getting rid of that.
Because Andrew's at 10. That's all I. That's I just wanted to point out. Andrew's at 10 now.
Yep, he did fetch, I believe. So I mean,
yeah. Sorry, Eric. I don't think it's gonna end with a kick to Urza's Rage. Stu goes down to 9 mana. And
if the last card is Fire Blast and like Bolt, then like Stu could have this right now.
it could be it. I mean,
No, but one of them is
here's a
Mountain.
mana.
That's a problem.
Okay. Again, I mean, that's fine-ish. 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think Stu doesn't get another turn. I think Andrew now has all the resources. He can get a Mountain, get Anger, and then grab Priest of Titania. Priest of Titania like taps for a lot of mana too, and then no,
Right.
Andrew's grabbing Forest. So
Forest, so not Anger. Like I said, I gotta figure Anger was sided out.
All right, well that's reasonable.
So
There's one
Genesis. He pitched Genesis for Baloth.
Oh, that's because we're just gonna Genesis Baloth.
It's locked then, yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah,
he doesn't have to kill Stu anytime soon.
No, Stu can't beat that. Yeah, Baloth and Genesis, I think, is going to seal the deal. 4 life every turn against this board.
Good fight, Stu. Good fight, man. All right, he's going to bounce his Acolyte on the upkeep. Or at the end of turn, he's going to do it. Fine. Then he's going to move to his turn. Andrew's going to untap a massive amount of mana. He's going to get Squee back in his upkeep and activate Squee after he gets it back in his upkeep. He's checking out his graveyard. He wants to see if he's going to activate Genesis. Also, he decides not to. Well, wait. Genesis, you can do it any time during your upkeep, right? Not just during your beginning.
I believe it isn't during the upkeep step. Yes.
Yeah. So he could Squee, then Genesis back the Squee, then survival again.
Let's just see Genesis. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Genesis is in your graveyard, so you have to do it at the beginning of your upkeep.
Okay, it's at the beginning of the upkeep. All right. Well, Andrew's tanking. He gets a Llanowar Elf. Okay, cool. Unclear why he did that, but just it's a dude, right?
Sure.
That makes mana, I guess. Now he's going to draw for his turn.
I mean, it's just another guy that we can pitch to survival if we need to. Or if we have another Cradle in hand somehow. All right, well, Andrew doesn't think he's close to being dead yet, because we're going to go ahead and cast this Acolyte.
Acolyte into Llanowar.
He must be planning to Cradle.
Baloth. Are you not going to cast the Baloth? If you don't cast the Baloth, then I kind of hope you die.
There's the Cradle. Yeah, we have the Cradle.
Okay. All right.
I hope you die if you don't cast the Baloth. Wow.
I mean, like, that's arrogant to not do it, right? Like,
right.
If you're like,
10 life is that borderline spot, right?
Like, yeah. So, no, good job, Andrew. Well played. Stu, good run. Uh,
Look at what the different survival has done to this deck.
yeah, I
You know,
mean,
look at what. So, okay, I want to talk about Stu's deck.
7, 8, 9,
23 land
10.
Sligh.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a control version. It is not
Is this
a.
it? Here's a seal. Okay. Wait. I mean, Baloth is 4 life, so we would go up to 14. He needs to deal 14 this turn. Can he do
No,
that?
we need to do. We need to have Fire Blast to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have Fire Blast or Urza's Rage. Like, that's it. But so I want to talk about Stu's version of his Sligh deck because he plays a version that is very different than a lot of other players because he's playing 23 land. He's playing kind of a more control-y build. But what he, because if any of the other normal Sligh decks had gotten the same start that Stu had, but maybe had drawn 3 less land and drawn more action spells, Stu may have won this game. And variance could happen. Stu could have just drawn poorly either way. But I think I like Stu's build. He's done very well with it. This is the second league he's been undefeated with it again. Also, again, second time he's maybe losing to Elves. But I think if you're going to play Stu's deck, you need to have a way to kind of go wide and answer wide decks like Elves. Elves is a very popular deck. It has won a number of our leagues. It does well. And the data seems to be showing that it is well suited to kind of battle Stu's version. So just kind of a note here, Stu's sideboard, I don't think was quite prepared against this Elves deck. Coupled also with some bad draws, I think, too.
Yeah, I think it was prepared-ish, but it's kind of like, you're gonna have to put a lot of cards if you want to plan to beat it. I think Burn really wants to dodge Elves. You're gonna need to play Pyroclasm in your deck, likely. And the way to beat it, because you need survival Elves, you need a combination of hate to really put them away, right? If they get an active survival, then you need a furnace. If they get strong creature start plus a cradle, now they're making a hermit quickly, so you need a pyroclasm as well, right? So there's a couple ways you have to shut them down, but it's very difficult from a mono red deck to do that. I think you really just want to
so I played Elves in the Swiss this league, and I was playing a kind of hybrid Sligh Stone Rain deck. Okay. And the Elves player that I played was playing, Armageddon Elves, popular combo. And the games where he cast Armageddon, I lost. And the games where he didn't cast Armageddon, I did not lose. Red had the tools. Now, I came prepared. I had, bolts, incinerates, lava men, Mog Fanatics, Stone Rains to get rid of actual basic lands, so you can't draw out of it as well. I had ways to keep pressure, but in the Pyroclasms of the board and things like that. So if you want to, as a red deck, you don't have to lose to Elves. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But you can't sideboard for everything. And after playing red, since actual middle school, the thing that I always say is what makes a red deck isn't like the 60, it's the 15. Your sideboard will really define what your deck can or cannot beat, I think. And not just the middle school, but in, other decks that have red as a primary, deck that wins. So, it's the challenge of a red player. It's very easy to put all the bolts in your deck, but then what do you put in your sideboard?
Yeah. Agreed. Not sure what's the action here. I see Stu somehow still alive. I see we're just chit-chatting. Okay, Stu calls it.
Andrew, Andrew opted not to gain 4 life every turn with Baloth, but instead to gain 4 life with the Spike Feeder. Yeah. So he can keep the 4/4 in play, which of course is way too big for a red deck in most cases. And just rebuying his Spike Feeder. So that's going to do it. Stu is going to say, hey, you survivaled me out of the game after a very long top deck war. And Andrew's going to take this 2-1.
Good job. Good games, guys. Andrew, look forward to seeing you pilot your pile in the finals here. And who do we have up next, Rob?
So after this, we have Paul and Philip. Philip playing a Dreadnought deck, bringing the Phyrexian Invasion into middle school.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he took out Rob last night. That was a pretty. That was I was mentioning Crash earlier as it's a really awesome red card that Rob deployed, but it wasn't able to save him.
I played, I played, I played him round 2, and I will say I did get game 1 because I was able to cast a pillage on his Dreadnought, which was wonderful. And then
Nice,
he was very
nice.
prepared games 2 and 3,
There you go.
and just
All
I
right.
died.
Well, and who is the Dreadnought deck facing?
Dreadnought deck is going to face Paul, which is on blue-black Psycatog.
Oh man.
So, which is we've seen some Psychic decks make it into our leagues before. Sometimes they do pretty well. Andrew also has a kind of a version of a Psychotog deck that plays a bit more tempo, but we
Yeah.
haven't seen kind of this flavor of Psychotog do well in a while. So it'll be really interesting to see how it fares against this, really fast
Yeah,
combo deck.
interesting. I would have. I mean, I would have liked to have split those finals. Maybe red versus one of the other decks. Well, red versus
Sure.
blue versus red versus green. But it'll be interesting either way. Am a combo player. I like combo, so we'll see what the Stiflenaught deck can do. But Tog is really
Tog
cool,
is
right?
Tog
It's
is
very
sweet.
cool.
Tog is sweet.
Does he have Limdol's Vault?
We'll take a look here in a second, but I'm gonna peek.
Yeah,
Quick.
are we gonna take a break here in a minute?
Yes, we will be taking a break. So his deck is primarily blue. It is mono blue splash black, which I think is interesting. So we'll take a look and we'll go over that here in a bit. But we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, guys. So please stick around. We're gonna get the next match set up here and bring you round 2 of our top 4. The winner of which will go ahead and be playing Andrew in our finals, and we'll see who takes the cake. But
right.
we will be back.
Heck yeah. All right, stay tuned, folks. We'll be back soon.
Hello, everybody. We're back with another
Hey, Rob.
game.
Hey, excellent. Thanks for getting us all squared away. My name is Roger James. I am the vintage champ, as Rob has noted here. Thanks for
Yes,
having me, Rob.
absolutely. We need your clout to, bring viewers in so that we can earn more pennies. I think we earned
Yes,
$3 whole last year in advertising revenue. So come on, guys, do your part.
it's good. Yeah, that's why you have to watch that little ad in the beginning of the stream. But just don't navigate away from the stream, then you don't have to watch the ad again, right?
This is very
Uh,
true. Yes.
Stay here, folks. So we have Paul Garrett on the left. He will be piloting a blue-black Tog deck, and then we have Philip Collier on the right, and he will be piloting a blue-white Stiflenaught deck. Do I have that correct?
That is correct. So yeah, let's take a look at those. So we're going to go ahead and look at Paul's deck first because he's on the left. So
Perfect.
Paul's playing Stiflenaught, and you will see that it is comprised of all cards that are blue and cards that are slightly non-blue, barely, with
Yeah.
just the Psycatog. So it is mono blue Psycatog. He does have some black cards in the sideboard.
Mhm.
Some
I
good
see some
powerful ones.
signed cards there. I like those signed cards. I see
Absolutely.
some group signed islands. Great stuff there, Paul. I haven't heard. Is Paul's name familiar to me? Has he been in the top 8 for us
Paul is a
before?
local in Austin, and
Okay.
you can see the second sign island, the classic blue island there, has the
hmm
GP Austin 2022
Ah,
um,
nice.
stamp on there. So, or sorry,
Nice.
2020, right before COVID hit. So in the before times, we had that.
That was your event. So that's the stamp from your all's event. Okay, great.
Yes, it was great.
So he's a local, but he hasn't made the top 8 before. Am I true in the saying there?
That is correct. I
Okay.
believe definitely not top four. So, um, it's great to have,
Welcome, Paul. Yes, welcome, Paul. New
yeah.
name for our viewers. I gotta assume he's been piloting this with some precision. This is not an easy deck. So if you see, we have things like accumulated knowledge to gain card advantage. We have things like force spike to get that turn one play when we're on the play, or if you tap out for a big spell, I'm going to be able to force spike that. Force of will. If my shields go down, I'm going to be able to counter your spell.
Yep.
I have Wonder is an interesting choice in the main deck, just to make my Tog fly, and maybe I'm just drawing a bajillion cards and I want to discard one anyway, right? So
Right.
why not Wonder, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
And it's blue for the Force of Will, of course, as we always like to say, pitches to force, right?
Yep.
And
Um,
then we're looking at Cunning Wish. Cunning Wish is a brilliant card in any Tog build, right? Because it can end the game immediately for you, right? What are the cards he has to fetch there? I think I see a Shadow Rift.
Shadow Rift. Yes. Give your Tog Shadow. We have a misdirection if we want to get real fancy.
Yeah,
There's a
don't
corpse
kill my guy,
dance.
bro. Yeah, don't kill my guy, bro. Then you
Yep.
wish for Corpse Dance when your Tog got killed and
Yep.
you're in top deck mode. You top deck that Cunning Wish at the end of turn. You wish for Corpse Dance. You bring back your Tog. You eat your graveyard and you destroy their face. Right?
Oh yes, absolutely. This is snuff out if you just need to like murder a meddling mage. That's there too. What do we have? We also have hibernation. It looks like that is a good
Hibernation's
instant we can
fine.
grab.
Not going to see that in this matchup, of course. But what's
Nope.
that black card between Shadow Rift and Factor Fiction?
Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna have to like zoom in here because that one's one I don't actually recognize right now. Let's see. So that is Sabo's Decree. There we go.
Okay.
Sabo's Decree.
All
A
right. And what does
classic.
that remind me? Remind me what that does?
Oh man, chat, help us out while I look up the Oracle text. And no, you choose a color, and something about creatures of those colors happens. They probably all die or you sacrifice.
Kill the
Um,
goblins. Kill the goblins. Okay.
choose a
Let's
creature
pull up.
type. Target player reveals their hand and discards all creature cards of that type. Then destroy all creatures of that type that player controls. So it is 6 mana. That's a 6 mana instance, but yes, it will. It's good
So
against creature type decks, and we have one in the
yeah, so
finals.
but in this matchup, we're gonna expect Paul to be trying to draw spells, counter things, and survive till he can to land the Tog, essentially. That's gonna be his game plan in game one. And whereas Phil, on the other hand, I think you have Phil's deck.
Yes, let's pull up
They didn't
Phil's
start
deck
yet, did
here.
they? They didn't start yet, did they?
No, they have not started yet.
I know Rob's like multitasking for our viewers. He's listening to the players. He's pulling up the deck. He's talking to me. He's doing all the things. So here's Phil's deck. So of course the namesake card Dreadnought is there, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna have cards like Stifle and Vision Charm that combo with our Dreadnought to make sure it doesn't die. Right. Of course, those are reasonable choices. Then you're gonna have things like Sleight of Hand, to fix your draws, to try to sculpt your hand. You're going to have a Force of Will that's going to allow you to protect your Dreadnought, right?
Yep.
Meddling Mage is an interesting one, right? In these kinds of decks, especially because what do you name? If they're playing white, you name Swords to Plowshares, right? It turns off your own swords, but you can see here that he's split them, right? He has
Yep.
2 in the main deck, 2 in the sideboard. That's what you should do probably in this case. If they're playing green, you name Naturalize, right? If they're playing red, maybe you name Crash, or you name something like Shatter or similar. But if you have a Meddling Mage, you can proactively try to turn off the things that are going to remove your Dreadnought, or maybe you're going to try to turn off something that's going to overall hurt your game plan, like I don't know, Quirion Ranger, Zaring Bridge, right?
Yeah, so Meddling Mage in a deck like this can either be defensive or proactive.
Right,
you can
right.
name something that will hinder your opponent, or you can name something that's going to protect your combo, which makes it real nice and flexible in a combo deck like this. Which is great. I mean, against red.
And better, as Kyle points out in chat, better an open deck list, right? So
yes, significantly better.
Phil has a good idea of what he wants to name out of the opposing deck. If you land this spell, I mean, he knows, or perhaps he knows, his opponent has very few ways to remove the Meddling Mage. So the first Meddling Mage names removal. The second Meddling Mage names Psycatog. Uh-oh. How do you win? Right? So we could see, in a grindy type match, perhaps that, but I don't think that's going to be Phil's plan A, of course, right? Phil's plan A with the Lotus Petals is to turn one that nasty Phyrexian.
Yeah, I think so. I played Philip in the Swiss, and a deck like this really just has the one game plan. It is, I'm going to make it 12-12, I'm going to win with it. If you can stop that game plan, and I can't put anything else back together, that's probably it. Very rarely have we seen this style of deck, especially like the White Splash, actually go ahead and win with a Meddling Mage. Usually it is the 12-12, but
again, and Phil's deck is unique. Oh, here we go. We're in the action. We got a Flooded Strand on Phil's side. We have an Island Opt. It looks like an Opt end of turn from Paul, I assume. Rob, who went first?
So in this case, let me check my handy dandy bracket. I believe Philip is
we're on seeding. Yeah, so Phil's the
Paul's on the play. Paul's on the play.
Paul's on the play.
Yes.
So that was an end of turn opt from Paul.
Yep.
It looked like a bottom from the opt and then draw. Phil, without a turn 0 or turn 1, I mean to say, Dreadnought, you got to wonder how he's going to approach this game, right? He knows his opponent's going to have a ton of card advantage. He's going to have Force of Wills. Now he has Counterspell up. So if you're Phil and you didn't have a turn 1 play, you must have probably a longer game in mind. And potentially you're going to be jamming your Meddling Mage here to eat a Counterspell. But I'm really interested to see how Phil plays this game 1.
Sure. Just a quick note for our viewers.
There's that Meddling Mage.
There's that Meddling Mage. Oh, eats
and
a
the Force
Spike.
As I talked about in the deck intros. That just, hey, I tapped out for something. I don't have to spend a whole counterspell on that. I'll spend half a counterspell on that, a third of a counterspell.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Force Spike.
You love to see Force Spike. So a quick note to our viewers. For some technical reasons, life counters are not going to be on this game. But that's okay. Our opponents have some visual life counters for us. We'll do our best to keep up with everybody. So bear with us. That's just a limitation that we have in the moment. But Philip is going to go ahead and follow up by taking one and casting this Seal of Cleansing. I get.
I like the enthusiasm, if I'll say in the chat. Seal of Cleansing is good for Phil, but I don't know what it hits. I mean, he knows Paul's deck. What does it do, right?
In the main deck, this card will hit a grand total of 0 cards.
Yeah. So what? I mean, Phil's just having fun here. I mean,
I mean,
maybe he
getting a
didn't
card out of
study the
hand.
deck lists. Yeah, maybe he didn't study
Yeah,
the deck lists. Because like, why do you care even about getting a card out of hand? You wanna hold up and pretend you have threats,
anything.
right?
Days,
Yeah,
force of will. Yeah,
yeah.
so it looks
I
like
don't like this play from Phil. It's loose.
every card in Paul's deck, aside from the creatures, is an instant.
But I'll say I played Phil. I would actually bet he didn't look at Paul's deck. He's a very cool guy that I hope to meet in person someday. He seems like a chill guy, right?
Sure.
He's not. He's here for a good time.
Well, you know what though? I like it. I'm fine, It makes you feel like you're taking game actions and playing the game. I'm on
Fair
board.
enough. Yeah.
All
Again,
right.
but my point being is that he may not know that it hits 0 cards.
Sure.
In
Absolutely.
reality.
Well, and it's generally a really safe card to just put in your middle school deck. Having a
It hits
disenchant
a
style
ton
effect
of
is
stuff.
wonderful.
Oh yeah, it hits a ton of stuff and it sits there, right? It doesn't have to do anything. That you don't have to instant speed it. It's just saying, hey, if you do something that this destroys, I might destroy it.
Yep. So I think we're gonna see the power of Paul's build here. He's definitely playing kind of control tag.
Factor Fiction goes island, island, gush, gush, wonder. So that's like pretty good pile.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Phil, you're like gush, gush, island, island, wonder. And I
Yeah.
mean, how
Third
else do you
pile?
split
Do we
that?
get a third
Yeah.
pile? No.
Yeah. How else do you
Um,
split that?
but I mean,
He did a lands pile. Phil
okay,
won a lands pile.
sure.
So maybe Phil's smarter than we are. He
Maybe. I
says,
mean, I can see that, right? Because it does mean you can only cast like the gush ever so fast. But I mean, look at this. So
hard
like,
cast gush. You just hard end of turn, hard cast gush, right?
so Philip's deck, it has to be the proactive. It can't play control very well.
Right.
It needs
so,
to
yeah.
combo off. And the problem is Paul's deck operates at end of turn. And so Paul either spends Philip's turn countering his combo, or he spends his end step casting his spells. And so Paul never has to flinch in this matchup.
Yeah, and that's why I said it in the opening. I was really interested to see how Phil plays this match and what kind of hand he had if he was not turn oneing or turn twoing a dreadnought.
Yep.
We'll see how it plays out. Wait, what just happened?
We're casting Vision Charm for one of its modes that is not phasing out an artifact. Chat, what are the other 2 modes? Pop quiz.
Mill 4?
Hey, that is how you beat control. I mean, it's not how you beat Psycatog, but it's how you beat control. So, Mill 4 hit all 4 Psychatogs. Easy. Easy, guys.
Yeah, but we already talked about in the opener. I'll just Cunning Wish for my corpse dance. And,
and then
get it on,
so
baby.
true.
Just have three togs coming at you.
Okay, so the game plan is cast 2 Vision Charms, hit all 4 Togs, and then all 4 Cunning Wishes.
All right, what are we doing, Paul? What are we doing? How many cards do we have, Paul? Paul's gonna cast a counter.
Make islands into planes, then combo.
Wait.
Oh, does Vision Charm
So
change?
whatever Vision Charm was doing,
okay.
Paul decided he didn't like it.
Okay, Chat is onto something here. I'm looking up the text now because now, as someone commentating this game, I should actually know. Vision Charm alternate modes are: target player mills 4 cards, choose a land type and a basic land type. Each land of the first chosen type becomes the second chosen type into Undertale. Okay, so this is a way for Philip to be proactive.
So Phil's going for it anyway. So Phil was going to slight.
Yeah, he's got to.
The islands to plains, and then he was going to go for it now. His plan is to go for it. The Cunning Wish goes off, so he's going to go for
misdirect.
Misdirect.
We can't. What are we going to misdirect?
We can't misdirect it.
We can't misdirect that.
But Cunning Wish doesn't have to be a blue instant, right?
No, it doesn't.
Just Stuff Out.
Snuff Out is a black creature. Yeah, just non-black, right? It can hit artifacts.
Black. Oh, force. He just gets forced. Then he's gonna pitch.
Oh, he had a
something.
force in the board. Oh, fine. We're just thinking about all these like eclectic little sideboard cards. And
Oh, force back, Phil! Yes! There we go! Pitches the stifle!
We got a game! Wow. So look at that turn. So
Phil has all these cards in his hand.
Right, so Paul's gonna gush.
They ended up adding up to the right cards. So Paul's gushing. So
right.
the forces on the forces resolved. Does he let the forces resolve?
I think the stack is clear. I think the stack is cleared.
Well, no, I think the stifle's on the stack. And now the stifle has cleared.
So Paul chose not to gush again. We know he's got a second gush and 2 more islands. He chose not to gush again.
The gush got pitched.
Oh, it did. You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
The second gush was pitched. But interestingly, I guess I probably in that situation would have gushed before I pitched the gush to force. If I'm Paul, just to see what's there and know beforehand, and maybe there's a card that's
you get another blue card.
Yeah, or I can gush again if I got it. Yeah, I gush again if I got a second blue card, or if I didn't, I could know what's happening, right? I know what's up. And now what do? We're gonna now go for the snuff out. Right?
Yeah. So chat is also pointing out that we could have just cast the second stifle again instead of just pitching it to force. And so if we have another blue card in hand, we could have had force and blue cards still, and still been able to cast.
How? Stifle costs 1 blue. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a Lotus Petal.
Phil got excited. Maybe.
But I mean, consider the sequence of plays, though. Phil was able to play on Paul's end step, which is exactly where Philip was to do with the Vision Charm.
We got snuffed.
We did get snuffed.
Yeah. And so I'm Paul. I'm at 13. And I'm Phil. I'm at 15.
I'm Paul, and I play Psycatog.
And I play a Tog, and that's like it's a counter spell. Wow. Phil, this deck has more play than I expected in this matchup, and I'm really happy about how this game is going so far.
Wow. Okay. This is we've got a blue game, guys.
I really also appreciate that we have supporters for both players in the chat. We have an LFG Phil, an LFG Paul. So yes, let's hear it, chat. We like that. That's very nice. Here's a second Psycatog from Paul.
Oh,
it's relentless.
No.
What do you have now, Phil? What do you have? Anything. He gives you the hand. Nothing. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
But he has swords. He has 2 swords in his deck.
Okay, we can get there. Do we have? We don't have. So sometimes these white builds playing the Meddling Mage will also play a Mom or 2 to protect the Dreadnought.
He says how many cards are in your graveyard. He wants to know.
That's a lot of cards.
Is he dead? Right? Like, so I don't think he's dead though.
He's not dead.
He's at 15. He only has 1 card in hand. Right? So I think, is there 1 gush in the sideboard? If his card in hand is like Cunning Wish,
there's no gush in the board.
That. Here's a Dreadnought from Phil. Oh
Let's
my god!
Go! All right.
So on Phil's turn, he makes a Dreadnought. He has it. He says, "What do you do? Is it resolve?" And I have the thing for it. It's a Vision Charm. Yep. And what shall you do, sir? Paul says.
Paul's gonna say that resolves. I didn't have a counter spell for your last counter spell.
Wow.
Now, notably, Paul is at 13.
Wow.
Which is significantly more than 12 in this moment.
Wow. Yeah, it is.
This is great. This is a great game.
Like I said, I did not expect Phil to be able to play and keep up with Paul as he has. I think we're on turn 8, 9, 10 at this point.
Yeah, give or take.
Again, I did not expect Phil to have this much action. At this point in the game.
Philip has used every part of the Buffalo here. He has no more cards in hand. So
what's that pile up top? Good. He has like 3 cards.
Oh my gosh, I'm blind. Ignore me.
Yeah, I mean he's been gushing, right? He has no lands in play.
Okay.
Like Like he might just have lands in his hand. But what was that? That was a counter spell for the.
Oh, for the vision charm. We
Oh
countered
my
the vision
gosh.
charm,
Yeah.
and okay, well
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure. So Paul had the counter spell for that. Chose.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So,
Wow.
man. All right. So we're attacking. We're getting aggro. We have a bajillion cards in the graveyard. We just attack for one and pass. Okay.
Sure.
Liquid metal coating. Turn the Psycatog into an artifact.
There we
Steel of
go.
cleansing.
Yes, that's the out. We found it.
Man, what are we doing? What are we doing, Phil? I can't imagine we have anything else left to say about this. We have to say how many cards you got. All right, we're removing cards. Paul's in his attack step. We're removing cards to Psycatog. So, again, to remind everyone how Psycatog works, if you exile 2 cards from your graveyard as a trigger, as an activated ability of Psycatog, you can remove 2 cards from your graveyard and it gets +1/+1. You can also discard a card to give it +1/+1. So if for each 2 cards in your hand, you have a +3/+3 essentially. And then a +1/+1 for each in the graveyard. So at this late point in the game, we can imagine that Paul is dealing a good amount of damage. It looks like he's pumped to 5 here, and that not clear. You know why? If you think you're clear, you just kind of don't go for it. But maybe he's just testing for swords to see. Phil has a couple cards, open deck list, so
Yep.
it's there. It's possible. He's still going. It looks like okay. We're up to 5, and just giving Phil a chance to respond.
Yeah. No, I think this is just fine. You have the ability to kind of commit small parts. Phil's answer to Tog is either, it's either there or it's not. And you don't have to commit everything now. You can keep taking the chip shots, which just makes your other 2 Togs more potent.
Yeah.
Or heck, maybe Phil doesn't draw the answer until, he's got 2 life left and then dies to wonder. I don't know.
Whoa.
But the only real risk to this plan is that Philip draws another Dreadnought and can keep it alive. And
Sure. I mean, I think Paul will close the game in a fashion that is reasonable. I don't think he was able to kill Phil last turn, and I don't think he's able to kill him this turn. Even exiling his entire graveyard, he's only dealing 6 damage. So I think it was just a matter of if this one gets eaten, I didn't kill him and I spent my whole yard. But here you see the gush and you see the power of Tog. So he's going to gush.
Ooh.
He's going to discard 2 islands, and that's going to be a +3. And so here he probably just top decked the gush. I'm going to guess here, Rob.
Probably.
I mean,
yeah.
And so then he's like, oh, yeah, now I can kill him.
As Chet pointed out earlier, that gush is 6.5 damage.
Yeah.
So, which is nuts. And
it's
that's
a
going to be enough.
wacky amount of damage for Tog. And so that is the result that I expected out of game 1. But again, Phil made it a game.
That was a lot closer than I think we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And a lot more exciting. You
were on the same page with me. You thought it was going to be kind of lopsided as well.
I think if Phil didn't do something in the first few turns of the game, then it very quickly gets out of reach because Paul can cast multiple blue spells that answer Philip's cards.
And when we didn't see it on turn 2, I was very suspect of that game, going anywhere. Now, what is Phil gonna do? Is Phil have any chance?
So let's take a look. We have 2 more sword to plowshares. 2 more short swords to plowshares. Oh my gosh, can't even talk. That sounds good. We've got these 2 great artifacts. These great little curse totems. Creatures can't activate their abilities. Guess what Psycatog is? It's a 1/2 do nothing. That costs 3 pitches to force. That's what it does.
Here's the question for that then. What artifact removal does does Paul have?
A counterspell and force of will is all that we really
Wow.
got, right?
I would love that in game 2. Just seeing
We'll take a look at
Togs
his board
attacking
here,
for 1.
but
Oh
I
man.
I
Yeah,
see the
so
furnace, the
so the
crypt.
board is the 15 cards on the right. So
Yes,
winter orbs play here, right?
sure.
Against this kind of Tog deck. It wants to cast Factor Fiction. It wants to do stuff at the end of your turn. Um, Factor Fiction, man, that's so rough when you're looking at Factor Fiction and staring at the winter orb across the table. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
why? So yeah, I can imagine that might come in. And Cursed Totem. And
Yes.
what else?
I mean, if the graveyard is a path to victory, then cards attack the graveyard. The furnace seems good. Take a card every turn, and maybe we bring in the crypt as well, just to have another card that we can just remove a
Because
graveyard if we need to.
do you think that? So what can you take out?
Um, well, I'm looking immediately at least the 4 cards, the swords and the totems, probably the winter orbs and maybe the furnace. So that's,
Okay.
7 cards. Um, Taking out, it's a little,
I'm saying, what do you take out of the main
yeah,
deck if
I don't
it
know.
goes
I mean,
in?
it's probably,
I might take out if I'm Phil, I might take out my Lotus Petals.
I could take out Lotus Petals. I
And
could take out the Seal of Cleansing.
because we don't need to turn 1, right?
Right.
And if we turn 1, we're probably going to lose the force battle, or we're gonna if we force back. Okay, like yes, that's perfect, but like in the long run, that's like one of the worst top decks we're going to see. So
Dazes seem bad. I could see taking. I mean, Dazes on the play seem fine, but they may not be the best.
what do we think, chat? Chat says, yeah, Lotus Petals, potentially some foul. I think Force of Will is fine to keep. But again, it's difficult to shave. There's a lot of cards you want to keep. So
Yep.
probably Dazes. You got to keep the Ops to draw. I think you keep Meddling Mage just to provide some aggro capability in a failsafe, and then like you turn off swords. I mean, you turn off counterspell, you turn off Snuff Out or something like that.
E-tutors are bad here. Chat's pointing out that seems fine.
You don't want to go down. Yeah, it's card disadvantage when you get countered. They let you fetch the spell and they counter the thing you fetched, right? So,
Yep.
um,
So let's take a look at Paul's deck here quick before they finish their sideboard plan. What do we have to bring in here? Let's see. I
you
think,
got to leave Snuff Out in the side, I think, for the Cunning Wish fetch.
yeah.
Engineer Plague is bad. I mean, maybe you could put E-Plague, but what do you take out? Force Spike, you keep in for sure. Force Spikes, you keep in the counter spells.
Yep.
AK, you keep in. I just don't see anything you really want to bring in if you're Paul. You
No.
just keep your main deck, probably. You keep the force for fetching, maybe.
Maybe you bring in the Sabo's Decree because you can name Phyrexian and just get the Dreadnought that way, and then just plan on being your tutor target. Just
Isn't it
Snuff Out.
instant though? Yeah. Oh yeah, fair. Okay, so you're just saying Snuff Out. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So you leave stuff out on the board for your tutor
You
target.
have 1 to draw, 1 to fetch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 1 to tutor. Yeah, I think that's fine.
That, and if you're really worried about the Winter Orbs, you maybe take out a Factor Fiction, but that sentence just sounds wrong when I say it out loud in my head. I don't know.
No,
I don't,
you can't be
take
afraid
it
of
out.
Winter Orb, but it sucks because Winter Orb is going to be almost a must counter card.
I mean, if you
Depending
think
on
that
when in the game it gets played, right? Like, so yeah.
if you think Phil's light on basics, maybe, which he's not. He's not light on basics at all. I was gonna say maybe you could bring in.
I expect the Tog player has looked at the Dreadnought player's deck. So
So let's tune into the game. They have started.
Okay. We got Paul on the draw. He has an island deployed. He's deployed a second island. On Phil's side, we see an island with a flooded strand, a nice gold bordered one. And he deploys an Otakar waste in addition to that. And he cleans his sleeve a bit.
Yep.
Paul draws and deploys a swamp.
So unfortunately, we did miss. I'm not sure if they had any mulligans here. I believe, watching them off the corner of my eye, I believe there are some number of mulligans, but
just
we'll
say
see.
Rob. They don't know.
We'll count the cards in Philip's hand, and we'll know for sure.
Yeah, I think there's no mulligans. Phil has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he mulled once. He was on the draw, so he mulled.
That would make sense. So we'll see what he's mulling to.
Is he gonna write us a note? Is he right? Can you?
Very curious. Okay. Here comes the meddling mage, right?
Mage it.
This resolves. What do we name?
Oh man. One of the removal spells, probably snuff out. All
Is there
right,
any?
here. Paul's got more people coming into the chat for him. Like Phil, where's your posse, man? Let's hear it. Let's come on, Kyle. Who's the Phil supporters here? What happened?
Chat, who do you want? Say it loudly and proudly.
Did he grab a cunning wish to show that's what's being named by the meddling mage?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's what he did. Okay.
Oh, and here's back to basics. Okay, you called it, Rob.
Okay, so he did do that. I mean,
cut him off white, but it turned too late.
And now
here's the planes. Okay.
Yeah,
back to basics looks really bad now. Ooh, Dreadnought.
All right, let's go. 12-12. The Phyrexian invasion has begun.
And we wait. What do you do, Paul?
Well, it's got to resolve. And then if it resolves, then Phil has to cast the second card, and that has to resolve. But Honey Badger Phil don't care, according to chat. Yeah, all right, we're stifling.
Here comes stifle.
Okay. Notably, this leaves up an island for Vision Charm, so if there is a removal spell, we do have the Vision Charm for it.
Okay, so Paul gushes first. That resolves.
Storm count 3?
Yes. And
Paul says, no, I lose.
Oh my goodness.
So Paul did not bring in any of his removal spells. Okay.
I mean,
at least that's what I'm assuming from that.
I am gonna assume he didn't draw them. I mean, yes. Again, if you're Paul, based on how game 1 went, you probably kept a hand with some disruption and permission. I mean to say permission, but with minimal interaction otherwise. Perhaps you kept a hand with Cunning Wish and had a big,
blowout,
come to Jesus moment when that got named off of Meddling Mage, and you realize that is not the hand you can keep. So Paul packs it in against a resolved Dreadnought that was stifled, with the trigger stifled. And he just looked at his hand. He said, "There's no way I'm gonna draw. Whatever I draw is not gonna beat this." So he had a Cunning Wish draw. Is the only thing we can imagine, right?
Yeah, and obviously he brought in some number of back to basics, which I guess he thought might be good.
But neither one of us had called that one out.
No,
I think he might have been caught up in the idea that he needed to sideboard.
It hits a total of 4 lands.
Yeah. So again, perhaps he got caught up in the idea that he needed to sideboard something, right?
Sure, that's definitely possible.
I imagine he's going to go back to that, and he's going to take those out.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for those to go. And I think
chat. It's best of 3, so we're going into the third game. It's not best of 5, and so it's only best of 3. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll go into the finals after this one.
There's not a lot for him to sideboard, but I still think putting one of those removal spells in the deck for you to draw, so that you're not leaning on these Cunning Wishes too hard, which we saw Paul probably got punished with.
Splitting them, but even then, you got to draw it. It's still, there's a 1 in 60 cards, right?
1 in 60 cards. I mean, you're playing Gush though. You're playing Factor Fictions. You're playing Ops.
Sure, but he might have.
In the game, maybe it goes long. Right? I don't know.
He might have split them though. Rob is what I'm saying. And
true, he might have
draw it, right? And so
thought he was dead.
We can't fault it to that, right?
Yeah. Well, in either case, the game 3 is going to get started. Phil is going to go ahead and. Wow, is Paul missing land drops?
Perhaps the split was Sabo's Decree in the main with Snuff Out in the side, and he he couldn't have drawn Sabo's Decree and cast
Sure.
it after having gushed, right?
Um,
So
so let's look at this game. So
so he
Paul's on the play.
discarded. So he discarded AK. Is
Yeah,
that
to
what we
hand
saw?
size.
Oh my
Paul
gosh!
starts with the Polluted Delta. Phil
What did Phil
goes with,
discard?
with an island, and Paul. Now we're going to discard
So
stat. Okay.
Phil discards something. Is it a gush?
Yes, it looks like a gush. Phil's definitely sensing that Paul has a handful of counter magic.
So he's
At
gonna
least Force of
opt.
Wills.
Yeah, so he's gonna opt. Phil's gonna opt. He's gonna bottom it. He's gonna draw his card. Notably, again, he's not fetching because he wants to find naturally some more lands in his deck. Likely, he wants to have some more lands in play to maybe do some more actions before he tries to go for something. He's discarded a Swords to Plowshares, which is like, again, it's crazy to me that this is where we're at on turn 4. It looks like,
I
right?
think
We have a Tog in the yard. We have an AK in the yard. This is just a battle of wits on who's going to discard the wrong card.
right. I think Phil is now saying, okay, I've got time to sculpt my hand, and Paul is missing land drops. So like, Phil has the advantage here. If he keeps hitting land drops, he has the ability
Here's an
now
out
to
of
cast
card
his
waste
spells.
from Phil.
Yep.
So we want to see Phil do something now, right? We want to see Phil. Phil should try to do something probably because he should be able to rebuild.
There we go.
Meddling Mage.
The Meddling Mage is great.
Meddling Mage is it. So if you know if you maybe took the here's a force pitching Tog just means so we have a force pitching Tog, we have a Tog down in the yard. So gives us an idea of what kind of hand Paul has here. Paul finally adds an island.
I believe if I'm Phil, I'm thinking, okay, you've got at least another force in hand and a counter spell, and you finally draw in a second land for that counter spell.
I want to see Phil name AK here. Because
we just got one AK. I can see another AK.
I smell AK as the cards that the reason why Paul is willing to go this route is because he has another AK in hand. He's going to refill, AK for 2, maybe even has 2 AKs. So here's
we just stifled the fetch land.
Stifle on the fetch land.
That was huge.
Phil is hoping to blow out Paul. He's and now we get a force.
There goes the other force.
Stifle.
There goes the other force fetching.
Oh my lord!
We have to.
Rob,
we can't afford to not have that, and we counterspell.
This and a counterspell on the force.
Yes. This is
Rob. Is this the end of the game? Is this the end of the game right
well,
here?
I mean, we only have a 2/2, so Phil has to follow up with a 12/12. We only have 2 cards in hand, and we've used a stifle.
But Meddling Mage is on Cunning Wish.
This is true. So
you can't
Paul's got 10. Paul's got 10 turns.
Now, yes.
Well, no, he's at 17, so he's
18.
got 18. So he's got 9 turns. But yeah, no, this is a problem.
Perhaps his life is mismarked. I think Phil is keeping it correctly. I think he is at 17 after the force.
Okay.
And Phil reminds him. And
okay. So that's still 9 turns. But yeah, so Phil blows out Paul. Paul is proven to use both the Force of Wills that we sniffed out that he had.
Snaps to you, Paul. Snaps to you on the stifle.
He also had a Force Spike, which he pitched. So that was also playable off the 1 land. And now we could see Meddling Mage beatdowns.
Wow. And Paul did not skillfully draw a land. So
gotta practice those John Avon moments.
Yeah, just get good at drawing cards. That's my general advice when folks have asked me about the champs. How did you do it? So just good at not mulligan, 5.
Right.
Here, Phil is like gassing. Phil feels it now. He just gushed. Main phase gush.
This game to win
bashes for 2, right? Takes Paul down to 12, right?
15. 15. So Phil's gonna play a sleight of hand. Look at 2 cards. Put one in his hand. If I'm Phil, I'm looking for the combo. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to look for that and jam for it.
Or
another Meddling Mage actually would be fine.
Protect the Meddling Mage.
But no, we found the 12/12
combo. Here we go, Phil. Phil.
That resolves.
Combo.
We cast
Paul
Vision
says
Charm.
go. Vision
Paul says
Charm.
yes, I didn't draw.
And Paul says
Okay, no
I
Force
die.
Spike and no Force.
And Paul
And
scoops
Paul
it
says
up.
no, I've lost.
Paul, great
Wow.
game, man. Great game, Paul.
Holy moly.
Before we yeah, I don't know if Paul wants to chat at all, but like that was really great. I great job.
That was
great job, Phil.
That was a show. That was exciting. There was a lot of stuff happening for Blue Decks versus Blue Deck. That was wow. That was
there's a lot of candidates for the highlight reel. For I'm gonna go on Twitch tomorrow. Probably gonna clip a bunch of
yes,
these.
please clip them like that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, there's some smips in this house. That was again, like I said at the top of that, I'm a combo player. I love combos. I love comboing. The Tog is like a little mini combo. It's just like a kind of a combo deck in that like you're gonna kill him in a couple turns with a big Tog, play control, and you're gonna do the thing. And Phil did his thing faster and better.
Yeah, that was stifling the land. We all dream of that, right? Like that's always the gimmick, right? We do that in
Legacy.
Legacy.
Long range. That's a long range, Phil.
That was pretty good. So,
man, Andrew, sorry. Now I have to root for Phil in the finals. Sorry.
Yeah, that brings us to the finals. We have two finalists left. 2 people standing. We've got Phil and Andrew. So, we're gonna go ahead and move to another intermission here, while we go ahead and set them up and bring you the finals.
Get back here soon. Get back here soon, folks. We're gonna put the 5 minutes as soon as we're ready. We've got to give these guys a minute to take a breather, right? Phil needs time to like gather his thoughts, get ready, right? But it's going to be bonkers, and we're looking for 3 games here, folks. So be back soon. All right. Don't go anywhere.
All right. We'll be right back. What's up, everybody?
What's up, Rob? Finals, man. So we made it through 2 semifinal rounds. If you're just joining us, we had some crazy action in the last couple hours, and we're getting into this final round of Magic. We have Andrew Webb, who's battled through a brutal field with his survival Elves deck, facing off against Philip Collier. He has also battled and made it to this final round on his Dreadnought deck. It's a blue-white deck that employs Dreadnought along with Meddling Mage. So if you were around for last round, you saw so many insane plays. I thought there was some crazy stack battles, some crazy stuff going on. We're not going to see that kind of action here. We have a green-red angry survival deck. I don't know exactly what Andrew calls it, but I'm excited to see if he can get it going. If he can get it going, it's not going to be much of a game for Phil. So the tale of this match will be told probably in the first 4 turns of each game.
Yep. Andrew mentioned just before this game start in chat that at the Invitational, which is half vintage, half middle school that we run at the end of the year, which winning this event will get you an invitation to. He was on this exact deck, and he played against a Dreadnought deck and beat it in the Swiss. So his opponent
two games, I assume.
I don't know how many games, but he beat he did win the match, and he said he recalls the game like this: my opponent made Dreadnought in turn 2, attacked me for 12, and then I blocked and killed it, and then won the game.
I blocked and killed it. Yes. All right, so we're into it. We're into it here. So Kyle says, introduce yourself, Roger. Hey, I'm Vintage Champ Roger James here with Rob, and we are Rob, producer extraordinaire. He's doing all the things, folks. So everything you see here, I'm just a guest. I'm not doing anything, just a dummy. Rob is making all this beautiful stuff happen. So thank you for having me, Rob. Into the action. Phil is on the draw.
Yes.
This is his second turn.
Andrew's fifth seed.
So he's sleight of handed into a Lotus Petal, but no second land.
Yeah, so that suggests to me that Phil has quite a bit of the combo. And he's just looking for maybe like just one little piece of it.
We get a morph from Andrew. So morph is he doesn't have Tribal Force Mage, does he? Right?
No, you know what he does have. He has
Nantuko Vigilante.
Nantuko Vigilante.
And I mentioned to Rob before the cast, I wanted to see this on camera. This card on camera.
So if you've hung around our our Discord, you've seen us talk about this as we shared some deck lists, but. This deck that was gifted to Andrew includes a lot of really cool arts. They're all gold border, they're all old frame, except for Nantuko Vigilante, which has this new frame hybrid extended art border thing. So
it's just to get you, I think.
It is just to get you.
It's like, remember what this does. It kills things that will kill you.
We'll see, hopefully, what it looks like when it turns up, but Andrew's going to untap, play a 4th mana source, potentially, and pass the turn with just Vigilante mana up after Phil has passed the turn after casting a Meddling Mage. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly what Meddling Mage is named, but you can't name Nantuko Vigilante and get it with the morph, and the morph is already in play, so we'll see what's being named here.
Yeah, Phil will opt at the end of Andrew's turn.
Yep.
Have a look at something, and he'll take that card. He's going to keep that card that was opted.
Yep.
He will opt to keep it, and it's an Adakar waste, and it's going to be probably a second Meddling Mage. Yeah, okay.
This would be good. So first one we hope name Survival. Second one would name. What would you name if you've already named Survival?
There's no naturalizes in the main deck, right? So
nope. Vigilante is already on the board, and also Morph gets around it.
Orangutan.
Okay, there's an orangutan in the deck, sure. In the intermission, guys, Phil did say that he was going to look at Andrew's list. He hadn't done that yet, so hopefully
I told you, Rob. Like he's not that serious. He's more 1,000% than 100%.
Yeah. So again, chat, if you're just tuning in, for technical reasons, we do not have our normal life counting system here. That is just the nature in which we are able to bring both competitors to each other. Necessitates that we don't have the traditional system. So we are going to depend on Phil to keep track of life for both opponents. and we're just gonna keep along with both of them.
I am wondering what the second one names, but I got to figure that is probably just the orangutan.
If I'm Phil, I think that I might name survival again just to give myself a blocker. Just to give myself a 2/2 that can attack or block, and
Oh, here's that tangle wire we talked about.
Okay.
It is game one, so
Here's game one.
here it is. We're gonna tap it down. We're gonna get to attack maybe with our creatures.
I don't wonder if this hurts Andrew. No, I think it's fine.
No,
Vigilante cost 2/2.
He's gonna tap the
3.
tangle wire. He's gonna tap some lands. He has some other lands up. It's fine.
All right, and 2
Tangle wires in the
Vigilante.
main deck, Kyle, so don't worry. Yeah. So here's a gush from. It's really nice from Phil's side. He's like, yes, I can cast my spells. I don't have to worry about any stack battles here, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna get my gush countered. And he does not put down one of those 2 islands. He puts down an Adakar Waste. And he says, no, actually, I meant to put an island down. There's no reason to take damage on that, making blue. I have this opt-in hand I want to cast at the end of your turn.
Notably, putting the island down, instead of the Adakar Waste, indicate that there's no Sword to Plowshares in Phil's hand.
It's fine, though. Again, he probably has an opt or something like this that he wants to do at the end of Andrew's turn, and that's probably better. He's not dying,
So, if I'm Phil and I suspect that there's a Vigilante here...
Here's Masticore, though.
No.
And it was not named, and that was one of the cards that I thought, Force!
Force we've got the
Phil.
Force. We got the Force.
Oh, my gosh.
Force Pitch Days, the classic.
Phil, you're doing all the things, man. You're letting me do the exclamations, because, man, that was brilliant. I have to exclaim to that.
That was wonderful.
My gosh.
I guess if I'm Phil, I've got the combo in hand. I'm looking for just that extra days, or not days, but I'm looking for either an extra Vision Charm or an extra Stifle, so I can stifle the Vigilante trigger, or so I can Vision Charm it out and still have the way to win. So,
Wow.
But this is not a bad spot. Phil's
Andrew
getting in the red zone.
Yeah. Andrew has to be concerned at this point.
Yep.
I'm Andrew. I'm concerned. But Andrew did a really good job of top decking survival in previous games. So
I suspect it's in his hand and it's meddling maged.
True. Okay. If it's meddling maged, huh? Okay, here's another Tangle Wire.
Kyle asking if the Elf deck is secretly a mud deck by playing Tangle Wire and Masticore. Is there a smokestack hiding out? Maybe. Okay. We're going to see an Enlightened Tutor.
E-toots.
Which does get the combo. Now, unfortunately, gets... Oh, we're going to get Steely Cleansing. Okay.
For why?
Maybe we didn't name Survival? Or maybe
what did we name?
We just want... Maybe our plan is just, attack with 4 power, which is greater than 3 power. And, maybe blow up one of these, like, Tangle Wires or something. Because, now we have to tap 5 permanents.
So we can keep attacking? That seems, like, really weird. I don't know. But again, if you're not getting Dreadnought, what else can you get in your deck if you're Phil?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was literally the only other option. I think Phil only has those 2 options.
So it's just a backup to the Meddling Mage if Andrew draws an out to...
Yeah, and that tells me that Phil...
Mage naming Masticore, then yeah.
Yeah, I think that just indicates that Phil has the 2-card Monty in hand, and he's just looking for the 3rd to beat this Vigilante. Is what that's just what it has to be.
Well, couldn't. Oh yeah, but he can't get a stifle. You can stifle the morph trigger, right?
Yeah,
that's
you can stifle Vigilante.
Flips, it makes a trigger, so you could stifle that.
Yeah, so any duplicate in any combination of the blue half of that combo will do it. You can Vision Charm, and if he Vigilantes, you can Vision Charm again in response. If you Vision Charm, you can stifle the trigger.
Can't
If
you just Vision Charm the Vigilante first?
It's not an artifact, so you can't.
Oh,
But
yeah, fair, yeah. Here it is! Here it is! Phil
okay,
is doing
so
it!
here's Vision Charm.
So
All
he
right.
must have another one, right?
We've got one blue up, so I'm going to say the answer to that is yes. Now, notably, Andrew is at 11. It looks
Sick.
like.
Nasty.
Is it 11 or is that I assume
like 11.
no. I think
It's
Phil
11.
might actually be 11. I think Andrew's been attacking.
No. Andrew's at 11.
Okay.
Phil has the 4/4s, the 2/2s.
Well, Andrew's got a 1/1 and a 3 and a 2/2. I don't know. This is we'll figure out here real fast when this 12/12 gets to attack.
Yeah.
Phil's at 11. Yeah, I think Phil's been. I think we see the tap meddling mages, and they're just been being tapped to the tangle wires. I think Phil's been getting hit by the 3 power.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we have one tangle wire loses its powers of tapping.
Yep.
But that's okay. We have 3 things that are going to get tapped on Phil's side, which are probably lands, and notably the Dreadnought is not phased in during that
No, it
point,
got
so
phased
it
out.
can't be tapped, right? It doesn't. It couldn't be tapped.
So it phases in at the beginning of the untap step.
Okay. So
and then you will have an upkeep, and then it will.
Yeah,
it could be tapped.
So if it was one of the only few things you had, you might have to tap it, right?
Yep. Now, of course, I don't expect Phil to misclick and tap his Dreadnought. Let's see what happens, though. Stranger things have happened.
Freaking misclicks. Here's an opt at the end of Andrew's turn.
I guess that's fine. The Dreadnought is phased out, and we untap, and at the same time we untap, Dreadnought exists. So this is safe.
Yeah. I mean, what is Phil? I mean, Phil needs. I don't know what he needs. Whatever it is, he likes it.
I suspect he's got a stifle in his hand, and he's looking for maybe stuff to follow up with. Because he's at 9, and that might be an issue.
Okay. Because he has to tap stuff. So
we have to tap 2 things.
Lands, right? So
yeah, we only have to tap 2 things, and I think it's very free to probably tap a meddling mage, but we're just gonna tap 2 lands. Phil's deck is very the mana cost is very low.
Who do you want, chat? Who do you want? Here's Vigilante gets flipped. There's that nice tilting frame.
Is it stifle? Oh yeah, there's the frame, everybody.
Stifle or Vision
Oh, we have the pump fake and it just goes. It's just gone.
My goodness.
Do we have the combo again? Do we have another one? No.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen.
And now these meddling mages are on blocking duty. Oh wow. This is
wow. You know what? I mean, it is what it is. Here's a seal.
Play the Seal of Cleansing that we knew about. Okay.
We knew is it one of
the Seal of Cleansing allows us to block with our meddling mage naming survival, but it's not great.
What is Vigilante? 2/2?
Vigilante, yes, because creatures weren't good enough to be better than that. No, it's a 3/2. It is a 3/2.
Wow.
So it'll still trade with the meddling mage, but if you don't block it, it'll hurt.
Yeah.
And Phil's at 8. Wow. He doesn't have life total to play with anymore.
Phil, you let me down. Let me down, man.
I mean, Andrew naturally drawing the one of an Antigua Vigilante is it's pretty top tier for stream. But yes, take it in. Look at that border. Look at that frame. And remember that Hockey put this deck together, put the arts together, and chose that. Saw that and said, "Hey, you know what? This was okay. Send it to print."
This is the one I'm going to play. Yeah. Wow.
Looked at all the images for this deck that he was putting together and said, "Yeah, this matches, sure." So,
and Phil scoops it up. Oh no, Phil.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
So
this is how I beat him in the Swiss. I answered one Dreadnought with one spell. So it's possible.
The card you we missed as we were chit-chatting there that did hit the board, or just
Yeah.
Andrew showed it was Kamal? Did you see the Kamal?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll end the game immediately with all that land. Yeah, the overrun is more than enough. Okay, so yeah, let's look at the decks again. We'll start with Andrews, and look at that Kamal. He's got a one of Kamal, so he drew a lot of one ofs, right? He drew his one of Masticore, he drew his one of
It
Kamal,
happened.
he drew his
Yeah,
one
it'll
of
happen.
Nantuko Vigilante. I mean, yeah, it's probably not exactly how Andrew drew it up, but that is
Yeah.
what got there.
Phil needs him to draw like the anger and the squeak, like
Yeah.
those one ofs.
All right, so Andrew's definitely looking to bring in 3 naturalizes and the monkey.
What does Messenger do? Messenger seems so weird in this deck. To me, I don't
It
know.
draws cards, and you can bounce it with your insects to draw more cards. So
Yeah, but like what? Okay, so
you
you
can
get
tutor
a
for it.
hermit. You get hermit, I guess. But is there a hermit? Yeah, there's hermit in this
Yeah,
deck.
there's
So,
two range hermits.
yeah, I don't know. It seems like a weird main deck card with like the survival splits. I don't know, but that's fine. It's fine.
Sure.
So what does he bring in though? What does he bring in?
3 naturalizes for sure, and the Mox Monkey.
The Mox
Or the
Monkey.
the orangutan. Mox Monkey's red.
Mox Monkey. I feel like well, Baloth doesn't really help because you go from 20 to 24, you still get killed in 2 bashes.
You can block 4 damage. Put that on the stack and gain
Oh
4.
yeah.
So I still don't
Alright.
think we're bringing that in.
Alright.
But those are options, right? I definitely think it's the 3 naturalizes and the monkey. I think that those are easy. And then Phil, we'll take a look at Phil's deck again. Phil has
Curse Totem. Curse Totem.
Curse Totems, which I think is underplayed in this format, in our leagues, in this
I
format.
love that card. I mean, I don't think it's underplayed. I think it's just it's difficult for decks to be able to run it.
Sure, they
because
lose.
you're gonna cut off your own stuff, right?
Yep.
So there's like not a ton of decks that can run it without drawback, right? But I think
Sure.
this deck is one, and I hope we see it hit play. A null is another card I might play if I was Phil.
Yes.
Hit that survival on turn 2.
Yep.
I don't think I would bring in any more seals. You have one in the main deck.
Yeah.
I might I'll keep the e-tutors and just keep one seal probably.
That's
I don't know.
fine. Sword of Pleasure seem fine.
Yeah.
So you can answer the Nantuko Vigilante or, other problematic elves that are killing you.
What do you think, chat? Anyone? Well, I mean, is there opinion on? Is it still Andrew all the way here? I mean, are we looking at a 2-game final? I feel like it's leaning that way. I'm again I'm rooting for Phil, but I'm like 60-40 on Andrew even after boards here.
So Phil's on the play this game. While Andrew's got more tools to work with, I think Andrew's going to draw one of his, turn 2 12/12s, force back up, get you hands. That's what I think is going to happen. We'll see.
Okay, so I would like to see this. I would like to see what you've just described happen. And I think it's not difficult because he doesn't have to fight counter magic. So he just has to have the combo and a counter spell for the naturalize, right? So I feel like it's very possible, that he can do it. And mulliganing, realistically, again, you need a land. You need a second mana, perhaps, on turn 2, or a Lotus Petal for turn 1 if you still have those in your deck. And then, a Dreadnought, a Stifle, and then now we're at 6 cards. That's a lot of cards. But if we could do it, we could do it. Or Andrew mulls into oblivion and doesn't have a naturalize, right? Like
Right.
all of these things are storylines that we would like to see, so we can have a game 3.
I, as a commentator and a spectator, I appreciate every game 3 we get. I love game 3s. As a player, if I'm Andrew, I'm just saying, yeah, I want to just, Phil's going to draw one land, keep a combo, hand and just never draw another land again.
Wait, who? Texas Lurgoyf in chat is Paul?
Texas Lurgoyf in chat is Stu.
It's Stu. Okay. My wife was watching the stream when I lost. She told me y'all said my deck needs to be better at going wide. Who said that? I didn't say that.
I said that.
You said that?
I said that. Remember, he can answer permanents 1-for-1, but he needs to, have pyrokinesis.
Going wide meaning okay.
Yeah,
but
being able to answer
going
wide.
Yeah, yeah. You need a pyroclasm. All right, yeah.
She never agreed with you. Wink, wink.
Just our charisma caused her. We saying with such conviction. Rob saying his opinion. She's like, wow, that guy knows. He's loud. He knows what he's saying.
I am loud. I am good at that. This is true.
So Rob, we have action here. We have Phil looking at 7. We have Andrew has dealt a 7 to himself. He's checking it out. It looks like Andrew's going down, maybe. Yep, we see Andrew shuffling.
Man, so I'm a little jealous of Andrew's playing the sleeveless deck because he can just shuffle and have that classic feel. Feels good.
I feel that. Like I said, yeah, I'm excited to get my my white initiative deck to add. I have a little battle box of proxy vintage decks. I know you all have a library that you keep. I have a personal library of bad proxy vintage decks.
Our decks haven't been updated since the before times, so you can decide if that is bad or good.
do you have a PO Oath deck in your box?
Maybe. I actually think that there may be a deck in there that is no longer legal because it contains a card that got restricted.
Probes. Something that is Mystic Fortress. Yeah, the deck that I've been high on recently is a deck that top 8 at our most recent vintage event, which is a Paradoxical Oath deck.
Excellent.
And those guys, the guys who built that deck, hadn't updated it since 2016, but they looked at the recent card pool and were like, oh, well, Besieger's pretty good. Boop. And then switch the breach, switch Tendrils kill for breach freeze kill. And the deck is baller. I've had several almost positive leagues on MTGO.
Almost positive leagues. Well, so for those of you who are just tuning in and stumbling upon us through Twitch or have only played middle school with us, we love vintage. That is where our roots are, and we do play vintage events in person. So, like Raj was saying, the vintage library that we had some loaner decks, but hey, all of our events are proxy friendly. Come play with us.
You'll see down in the corner there, this corner there is the info. Go subscribe to all the stuff. Stones Vintage. I'm over in Ohio, but so you won't see me there, but you'll see Rob, you'll see Stu, you'll see Tweety, you'll see all the crew, you'll see hockey. So follow Stones MTG at those various socials and get information about vintage, get information about middle school. And come play in the leagues, come play in paper, and if you do well enough, you'll get an invitation to come to Texas.
Yes, most definitely. And so as our other leagues have developed, right? We started webcam leagues because the pandemic happened and we needed to do something to pass the time. It used to be just the locals, and now we're international. Our last league was won by a player from Japan.
Indeed,
who smoked us all. Yeah. He smoked us all.
And it's funny because do you guys all just call it the Masa deck? Do you guys call it Masa deck? I have it. I built it. I played it at an event we played in Pittsburgh. Yep. I'm I'm playing the Masa deck. All right. Well, let me just say that we're back to the action. Let me just remind us that we're back to the action.
We are back. We do call it that because we all refuse to play it, and only he plays it. We're like, well, we're not good enough. But yeah, we're gonna start game 2 here. Phil is on the play. It starts with an island. Starts with a sleight of hand. Exactly what you want to see out of a 2-card combo deck. Andrew starting with a Korean Ranger, which will go ahead and generate extra mana next turn when he gets to untap with it. Phil going ahead, playing Lotus Petal, playing land at number 2, and saying, hey, look, I'm going to cash in the Lotus Petal and not this Flooded Strand, which I find peculiar, but I'll take it. That might indicate he wants another island. He's got Gush. But we're going to cast Meddling Mage.
He wants an island. He doesn't want to have to fetch planes or be
Yep.
locked into having a planes, which is fine. Again, we're going to see Andrew here try to put his engine together, right? He has Aquarian Ranger.
Yep.
We'll see what other elves he adds. Here's Phil. Is this Andrew's end of turn?
Andrew seems to have played a land and passed, which suggests he has Naturalize, or a bad hand, or the 2-drop was named with Meddling Mage. It's the only thing I think of. So
which might have been survival, yeah.
Yep. So Phil does want.
Imagine it was survival.
Yep. Phil did want that second island. Grabs it. Does cast an opt.
I like
and now we're going to sleight of hand.
Continue sculpting your hand. You can bash for free with the Meddling Mage. I don't think there's anything in Andrew's deck that will, stop his attack. And you're winning the race. So you're Phil, if that Meddling Mage is on survival, you're hoping that that's going to hold for a little bit until you can put something else together. Here's a Gush.
I have just been chatted by Webb, confirming that Meddling Mage is naming survival.
As we expected, yep.
So that's good to just have that confirmation. I think Phil's game plan here now, sniffing out the Naturalize in Andrew's hand, says all I need is the combo and a counter spell, and then you've got to have Naturalize. And I'm just going to bet you don't have it.
You got to double it up. And in the meantime, you can chip in with Meddling Mage, hopefully get a little closer to a turn 1 kill or a 1-turn attack.
1 attack step instead of 2 attack steps.
With Dreadnought, yeah.
Oh,
Here's
no.
a morph. Again.
Oh, no.
Andrew is following my advice, the advice that I've given everyone since I won the champs. Get good at drawing cards. Okay, so Andrew seems to have followed my advice. He's gotten good at drawing the cards that he needs, and he's put it in play, a morph.
I will say every event that I have done successful, that I've been successful at, it has been because I have drawn cards well. Yeah. So good advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Chet's asking if you attack here with this Meddling Mage.
Yes.
Do you offer the survival for this Vigilante?
It depends. If you had Dreadnought, then yes, you attacked. If you didn't have Dreadnought, you don't attack.
Right. So now Phil theoretically has to play around Vigilante and Naturalize. Props to Andrew if he just pretended he had Naturalized and then didn't. But Andrew's got mana for both. But all Phil needs is another Meddling Mage on Naturalize, and then we're sort of back in the game.
So Webb adds a forest with an Acolyte. We have Aquarian Ranger, which is pretty good, but we don't have any engine going yet.
Right, but we don't necessarily need an engine yet. If we get to untap, this Acolyte's going to start getting in the red zone. Real fast. Winter Orb against Aquarian Ranger, I guess.
This is real questionable, Phil. I have to say. I've been with you this whole tournament so far, but I have to question this play here, Phil.
Well, okay. So the one thing Andrew did show game 2.
He pays for the Multani's Acolyte.
Yeah. I think the one thing Andrew
doesn't care about Winter Orb. That's why he's showing. No, he doesn't care about Winter Orb.
He doesn't care. I think. I mean, maybe Phil's got the impression that game 1 lands mattered, and so maybe Phil says, okay, well, I don't want lands to matter, so bring in Winter Orb.
Kyle Wells is questioning you in the chat. Is an issue.
But hey, you know what? Phil's in the finals of this league, and I'm not.
And neither you or I are. So good point, Rob. Good
point. Even if it's wrong, he's still in the best seat in the house right now. So
indeed. 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 I can't argue with that.
Hmm. Well, it is slowing some things down. Now think about this too, right? Your opponent's on Tangle Wire, and you're bringing Winter
Yeah.
Orb.
This is gonna
Is that the counter to that maybe?
Yeah. Well, is it a
Not
counter to?
a,
I'm not sure it's a
not against
counter
the
to it.
elves maybe, but like okay.
It's what I would call BNB, bad news bears. Right.
Um.
We're in the bad news bears step of the game, where Phil is
Oh
quickly
yeah.
realizing how much of a mistake putting Winter Orb into his main deck was.
So continuing the trend of Andrew drawing his singletons, he has drawn his single mountain and played it. You'll notate it by it is the card with the little red top to it instead of the green top.
It's obviously a mountain.
Yes, for those keeping track. Lands are beautiful when you're looking at it against his season invitational playmat. It's a little hard to see, but that's why you've got us here to help you. And he spends his turn deploying more to the board.
Stu says, "Let's edit this part out."
So
the part where the finals guy played the winner, or well, you know what, Stu, just get it done next time, and then
yeah,
you would
get it done.
Messy.
Put the blurry face of the Winter Orb. Andrew spends his turn, playing his mountain, deploying to the board, plays more permanents. Phil untaps, plays a seal, doesn't really get much accomplished and passes the turn. And Andrew really gets to untap. He does pay for this acolyte, or he paid for it last turn. And now we're gonna start getting the red zone. And Phil's life total is dwindling. Phil is at 11, and this is exactly how Andrews described winning the style of game, right? You survive and check the dreadnought, and then you've got a bunch of creatures, and all of them are win conditions against Phil's 2/2. So
Again, yeah. It's I commend both players for their path to get here. It's not easy in this league. We have a lot of good players. I wouldn't count myself amongst those players, but we have a ton of good middle school players specifically, right? And so it's not easy to get into this position. And I think Andrew deserves this, regardless of what has happened in this game. If he comes out ahead and crowned as victor, he definitely worked hard to get to this point in this tournament.
Yep. And case in point, right? The deck that Andrew's playing is a literally card for card, copy of the deck that he used to win our invitational with, and it's here in the finals again. It is a good, solid deck to play. Complicated, has a lot of lines.
He's obviously proficient with it, right? So that's where in these games that we've watched Andrew play, I have not really been. I have had full confidence in him. So congrats to his opponents to this point, but as Andrew has piloted this deck and with the matchups he's had, he has been my choice to win it since the beginning. I didn't put that in at the top just because I wanted red deck to win.
Well, Elves has to win now because otherwise I feel bad for Mountains. But
no, I think it was clear that he was the best positioned to take this down. We want to have a good storyline, a good commentary, and so I didn't want to lean too heavily on the fact that he was so favored. But
Okay, so we're casting Vision Charm at the end step here. So Phil's got some play. I'm assuming we're going to choose the mode for changing land types to something, which tells me that we may be trying to cut off Andrew on green mana. And
we have Finhorn Elves and Llanowar Elves. That doesn't matter,
it may have been on an upkeep to prevent mana being spent on Multani's upkeep cost to try to use a Vision Charm to snipe an Acolyte. That tells me that Phil has the combo in hand. He's just looking for a redundant redundant combo because the first one's checked already.
Hmm.
But all Phil needs, right, is the combo plus a second blue half of the combo to
Yeah,
check this.
but Andrew's at 17. Like that's
He is,
not.
and there's definitely enough power there to block one. And
Yeah,
we do also suspect that Andrew has that naturalized from the very beginning. So Phil also needs a Force of Will, which I believe would have been cast by now.
we block. We trade with an acolyte. Oh gosh,
Um,
come on, Phil. Let's
yeah,
give
I
this
mean we've
game
got the
3 here,
seal,
buddy.
so we have the seal, so we can check the survival. Now, maybe, but see, Andrew could go survival into survival now, which will be interesting. All right, do we see? And even still, we cast
There it
survival.
is.
We can still
Survival.
activate.
So what? Yeah, man. Oh, Phil. Oh
Well,
man.
this is not how Phil drew it up, but also Andrew drawing the one of Vigilante naturally both times. Pretty rough.
Good at drawing cards. Good at drawing cards. Stu.
Chat. Uh, good league is good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's clearly this deck that Andrew's piloting is one of the top decks in the format. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different ways to build it, but you need to keep this deck in mind when you're building your deck. If you don't have strategies and ideas about how to beat this kind of deck, the Andrew Webb survival deck, you probably should think about your deck and how you're building it.
If you've looked at our league history of the past, Elves has made the finals more than I think any other deck. And so different flavors of Elves. So this is Survivor Elves. Some of the other popular Elves has been Geddon Elves. But Elves is always a strong contender. So you definitely need to have a game plan to beat this kind of deck. Chat is pointing out we've got a Mountain and Anger in play. So there's stuff happening. Looks like Phil's going to get another turn though.
Phil's at 9.
Phil's at 9.
Tutors. He's gonna eat tutor. Sure, we can do the dreadnought thing, but I don't know that I care if I'm
Chat
Andrew.
pointing out that opposition Elves also top 8'd once.
Yeah,
This is true. I worked on that for a league once. Opposition Elves.
yeah. Okay, we tutor for a dreadnought and get the shrimp. And I think again, like if we do the thing, I'm not clear on how Andrew cares, right?
We have to beat Vigilante trigger, naturalize, and blocking.
And orangutan.
And the orangutan that's now visibly in the hand.
Right.
All right, well, that takes care of orangutan. But you won't get to... All right, so we're going to stifle it, all right?
Wait, we showed the vision charm?
Yeah, I think he grabbed the wrong card. I think because he wants to block. Now, unfortunately, I don't like... Here's the problem, though. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 power on the board. And a way to remove this blocker.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
No, but
I mean,
hey, you know what? Phil's gonna play his cards, and he's gonna.
Yeah, no, of course, and I think like I said, Phil has battled hard to get to this point.
I think
that Andrew can simply morph his vigilante, target the dreadnought. Oh, he's just gonna play the orangutan. He's telling him you're targeting Winter Orb, right? Winter Orb, yes, Winter Orb. Yep. And he says, no, not Winter Orb. I'm going to target the dreadnought.
Well, we'll phase it out.
Vision charm on that.
There's a naturalize we knew about.
Stack the naturalize on top of that. Force and scoop by Phil. Okay.
All right.
It's a great it's a great go by Phil, and I give Andrew all the credit here.
Wow.
Good piloting. Good piloting. Phil, you gave us a massive, entertaining show
Oh
in the
my gosh, did
semifinals,
you?
and I give you all the credit, man. Great job. You should, Stu and Rob, you got to get this guy some kind of second place special prize. I don't think Dreadnought has gone this far in one of the leagues,
Dreadnought
has it?
has won our league. Lorien
Did
has
it?
won
Okay.
with Dreadnought. It
Oh
has made the
wow,
finals.
Lorien. Well, it's Lorien. I like give that guy a ham sandwich and a
With I think
banana.
with the white
Yeah,
blue, with the white blue version as well. So
give that guy a ham sandwich and a banana. But Phil, like, great job, man. Good job, Andrew. Great job. I love to see you piloting. I love how you tightened up in that in the finals and really just showed the power of the deck. Great job.
So yeah, that'll do it. Andrew's gonna win this match in the league, 2-0 here, and with that, returns the crown of league champion back to Texas for the first time in a while. We've had a number of our previous leagues lately go to our guests from out of town, which has been wonderful. We love that our events have reached as far as they have. It's always a pleasure. So. We did our best. We had 3 locals in top 4, and so the odds were in our favor in that sense. So,
Cheers. Yeah, that's
but yeah,
great.
elves are
Thanks.
gonna do it.
Elves did it.
Elves.
Thanks for having me, Rob. That was a great show. Everyone watching, thanks for hanging out, tuning in. Hopefully, if you're on the VOD, you had an entertaining time. I always love being on the cast, so thank you, Rob, and all the crew from the Romancing the Stones for having me. Remember, that side, boop, over there, boop, boop,
Yep.
boop. Follow Stones Vintage, Stones MTG, StonesMTG.com.
Definitely. Well, thanks to everyone for joining and tuning in and watching. And again, Andrew wins a spot in our end of year invitational. It's a dual format event, vintage and middle school. And they're typically about 10, 12 players, depending on how the year runs with our events. So it's a great start to our season. If you want to get a spot at that invitational, we have a lot of fun. Playing our events, playing our middle school leagues. If you win one of those, you get an invite. If you come in and play vintage, you'll get to get an invite that way. Lots of ways to do it, and it's a lot of fun. So it's been wonderful as well, Raja. Thank you again for joining me in the booth. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, always a pleasure for sure. And thanks to all our viewers for tuning in. And yeah, thanks for all the excitement to our top 4 players. Thanks for all the excitement. It was great to commentate your matches.
Great 3 games of Magic. So that'll do it tonight. We're going to go ahead and pack it in. But again, thank you all for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.
See you next time.